sports comes to be heard.
College athletics is the gift that keeps on giving. This is why I love this stuff.
He's not just talking about the game, he's driving the conversation, breaking it down, calling it out, and saying what everyone else won't.
They start licking their chops, man, when they hear like, oh, look at all these guys the Padres could potentially trade.
This is the voice San Diego Sports trusts on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
We're your favorite show.
This is the Braden Surprenant Show.
Think about the children, the family show.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Thursday to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Good to be talking with all of you after a huge Padres victory, a huge Padres sweep this week of the Milwaukee Brewers. And I think that really, aside from a couple of different ways to go about this and ways to look at this, this is a huge series and a huge sweep for multiple reasons. One, obviously, it now puts you in the sole possession of the #2 wild card in the National League. Ello mentioned it on the roundtable. They were the eighth spot about a month ago. And now they've climbed to the second wild card. It's really remarkable. I mean, when looking at the standings and when looking at like a month ago, whether or not the team should buy or sell. And I was always in the camp of, at the very least, stand pat with this team because you can't punt on a Manny Machado prime year. You can't do it. And on July 23rd, and I really got to do July 24th because that was the show that we had after the Thursday meltdown in Atlanta. The Padres were 2 games under 500, 4 games out of a wild card spot, and there were 4 teams in front of them before you even got to that final wild card spot. 5 teams. Before that, they had to climb out of a massive cellar. I mean, there were 6 teams in front of them. They have jumped every single one of those teams in about a month's time. We now fast forward to today on August 13th, and the Padres are the #5 spot in the playoff race, after, of course, the top 3 seeds are division leaders. They now have a 1-game lead on the Arizona Diamondbacks for that #5 spot or second wild card. Diamondbacks have the 6th spot. They're tied with Philadelphia, and they took 2 out of 3 from Philly earlier this year, so they currently win the tiebreaker. And then it's Miami, St. Louis, Washington, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I mean, if you look at the comparison between the standings from July 24th to August 13th, most of the teams are still relatively in the same spot. And the only one that really flipped was the San Diego Padres. Cubs are still in the same spot. Arizona's still in their same spot. Miami and St. Louis basically flop spots. Washington's still in the same spot as they were about a month ago. It goes to show just how difficult it is to jump standing places. But the Padres are like the biggest difference. Well, them and the Pirates. The Pirates have completely plummeted. But just in 1 month's time, most teams are relatively in the exact same spot they were back on July 24th, and the biggest difference has been the Padres. And when we were talking about this around the trade deadline, when we were talking about this around right before the trade deadline, about whether or not this team should buy or sell, and for everybody that was talking about this team needs to sell, they're cooked, whatever, which is mostly emotional pondering on social media to make it look like you're cool or whatever, be a part of something, I guess. For all those people that were like, sell, 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 this team could never win, sell, sell, sell. I always thought that they had, they weren't mathematically out of it, On July 24th, I was like, this team's done. But they've been able to climb their way into the number 5 spot in the wild card, and they've done it so quickly. I mean, I thought if the Padres were going to play their way into a playoff spot, we were talking about them playing their way into a playoff spot, I think in like September, if the Padres were lucky. I didn't think it was going to be this fast. I mean, they got the benefit of everybody in the National League going on losing streaks right as the time that the Padres weren't even on a winning streak. I mean, post All-Star break, the Padres went 5-5 on their road trip. 5-5. And they gained 2 games in the standings because of how poorly everybody played. But they took advantage of what was given to them in terms of an opportunity. They saw that everybody else was struggling, and the Padres quickly turned it around. I mean, it's remarkable that they are in the spot that they're in right now, that they just won 5 straight games, that they just swept Milwaukee, who is the best team in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you look at the top teams in Major League Baseball right now, you know, Tampa's up there with a .617 win percentage. They are now the best team in Major League Baseball because the Padres knocked off the Milwaukee Brewers. But if you look at the top 2 teams in the National League, which is Milwaukee and Atlanta, both came to San Diego, both left without a win. I heard Pat Murphy talk about it yesterday. He was visibly frustrated with how his team performed defensively. He made it sound like that was a recurring problem for most of the year that needs to be addressed, it needs to be fixed. But he gave the Padres a lot of praise. They're a team that's the hottest team in baseball right now. Record says so, except for maybe Tampa, who's won 9 straight games. And they have an elite bullpen. And that's a recipe for success in the postseason, especially with the stars that the Padres have. I mean, I can't believe they're in the position they're in right now. Oh, and by the way, they actually have a positive run differential, which is amazing. I thought yesterday as we were at the game, and I saw the starting lineup before the game started, I thought, okay, got to give Fernando a day off. I was okay with that. I think a lot of Padres fans smelt blood in the water and wanted to, go for the sweep. And I think you could still rest guys and go for a sweep, but it just seemed like the first couple innings, it was like, all right, cool, we're doing our thing. But they turned it on there late. They went with Fernando late in the game as a pinch hitter. He ends up making a remarkable play with 2 outs on a ground ball to first base. Are you kidding me? He scores from second base with 2 outs on a ground ball to first. Brewers kind of helped him out with that because Ashby didn't cover first base. We'll talk more about what happened in the game yesterday. But once that happened, I said, all right, now you got to go out. You got to go get this thing. They saw the scoreboard. Arizona had lost to Colorado. Philadelphia had already lost to St. Louis. Both teams had lost 2 out of 3. And the Padres, who went into this series down a game in the standings, now leave Petco Park with a game in hand on Arizona and Philadelphia. That was like best case. The only thing that would have made it better is if Arizona and Philly both got swept by St. Louis and Colorado. But they both lost 2 out of 3, and the Padres swept. And it puts them in a great position. Now they're in the driver's seat. Now they can maybe try to start distancing themselves from the rest of the pack and put themselves in a more comfortable position going into the final stretch of the year. Ben asked the question if we thought this team was a World Series caliber team on the roundtable. I think that's hard to answer. I think that's hard to answer because of the fact that there's a lot of other teams in Major League Baseball. And I don't like playing the game of, well, if you factor out this or if this team's not a part of it, yada, 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 yada. But, right now, out of the top teams in Major League Baseball, you haven't played Tampa. So we'll see what happens when you play them. You haven't played the Yankees, who are actually the second best team in the American League. in the standings. They happen to be in the wrong division. I mean, the Red Sox are the third best team in the American League, and they also are a wild card team. Haven't played the Yankees yet. The Boston Red Sox, you took 2 out of 3 from, albeit it was a different time of the year. Took 2 out of 3 from Astros division leader. Lost 2 out of 3 to Chicago. He's done fairly well against the teams in the American League so far that you would have to compete with maybe in a World Series. But I'm not really worried about the American League. You look at the National League, and you start with Milwaukee, who has the best record in the National League. You swept them at home. You won the season series against Milwaukee. You look at Atlanta, who is tied for the second best record in the National League. You swept them at home, and you probably should have beaten them at least 2 times in Atlanta, if not 3 times in Atlanta, with losing by 1 run in all 3 of your losses down there. But you won the season series against Atlanta. The Dodgers are a different story. That's got rooted history of a rivalry and hasn't panned out very well this year. Chicago's gotten the better of you. And then you've split with Arizona. But those are the teams that are right now in the National League wild card. I know Philly is currently tied, but if we started the playoffs, they wouldn't be in it. You talk about Miami, a game and a half from Philly, they could potentially be a part of the equation. You swept Miami in Miami. So the question of can they be a World Series caliber team, I think based on how they've played some of this competition, I think they totally can be. But they need a lot of things to go right. They need to be able to continue to swing hot bats across the board and contribute across the board, which they have done. We'll see if they can continue it. They need good starting pitching. They've had decent starting pitching as of late, not necessarily anything to write home about, but they've been going deeper into games. And the bullpen's been elite, which is definitely the biggest factor you need to be a World Series caliber team. We still got a lot of games to play. We still got a lot of baseball to play. But it's amazing what 1 month has done for the San Diego Padres. When we come back, we're going to talk about yesterday's game in closer detail. We'll get Frank's thoughts about where the Padres are at in the standings. We're just getting started on a Thursday. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. All right. I've had kind of an interesting morning, to say the least. Today was one of those days, Frank. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, live and locally every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. We broadcast live from the Bill House Studios. Back at our Bill House Studios. We know how. This morning was one of those mornings where, like, there was things I had to do, and then things came up that then created more things that I had to do in a small amount of time, as I had to be here before 9, which I did. I got up here in the nick of time. It was right, nice and easy, a little show and go.
You were lucky. You were very happy that it was a 35-second open that we have, and not a 30-second open
for the
round table.
For the round, I got here before the right as the open was playing. Now that being said, I had to get to the parking lot before then. I hope I didn't get a warning for being in the 1 hour parking spot. But you know what? I have noticed those are starting to be open now all of a sudden after they sent that email out.
Yeah, I know, right? It's really frustrating.
You should just park there.
See
what happens.
No. I'll let someone else be the guinea pig.
You know what? In your defense, you've had enough car troubles where you'd be like, I can't move it. I don't know what to tell you. I just kind of, my brakes went out here. I'm sorry. Whatever happened about helping out a neighbor. So anyway, that was kind of like my morning this morning. And it's going to be a long day. Because as soon as we're done here, I'm going to be going straight to Mater Dei Santa Ana for our scrimmage today. Scrimmages are today, tomorrow. I don't know if anybody's scrimmaging Saturday. throughout San Diego County for high school football. Next week is week 1, or should I say week 0 of the high school football year. We're going to get high school football next week. And today, at least for Cathedral, was the first day of school. I usually have for football practice, Frank, the first day of school practice sucks, but today it's a scrimmage, so we'll see what happens. They're going to go through a whole day, and they're going to get out of school early, and then they're going to have to drive up to Santa Ana. So we'll see how that goes. I will be meeting them there. We start at 4:30. I should be getting there around 4:15-ish. We'll see. I'm not in a huge rush for that. That's for the JV team. Varsity doesn't start till 6. I'll definitely be on time for the varsity one. But I try not to hit as much traffic this morning. So my morning, a little frustrating, but not too much. But I tell you what. Do we know what's going on with Bob Scanlan? Because you're talking about a guy that had a rough 24 hours. I feel like this guy had a rough 24 hours. We're going to talk to Bob later on the show today.
Bob needs a hug.
Poor Bob, man. Bob started the day today. Bob started his last 24 hours. Nice, clean shirt, ready to go. He bumps into one of the TV producers while holding coffee, shirt ruined. Now, he was on radio yesterday, so they didn't necessarily need to show him.
No, he was on. I think he did both yesterday. I think he did television and radio yesterday. Like he had a TV spot at the beginning or at the end of the show, at the end of the game. And
do you think he did like? Did he
radio.
He did like the post game or something?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So he did. He called the game on radio, but he did the post game.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess he did need a shirt. So he had like a XXX Padres shirt that was wrinkled and it was a mess.
He had one of the Friars ponchos, effectively.
And one of Mark Grant's ponchos. Yeah, so that was already bad. And then his experience yesterday into the early this morning of just try get the poor man some food. His tweets were just hilarious. I mean, I felt bad for Scan. Like, don't get me wrong. Also, I wasn't reading them in live time early in the morning. I was reading them this morning when I was already comfortably awake. So he was on a little bit of a roll. Now, he doesn't tweet too much. Like he said, always fun talking ball with us. Go Pods. Love that, Bob. We love that. But then he goes like this. Thanks for your concern about my shirt today. That looked iron with a rock. Came to game wearing white shirt, which became covered in coffee after accidental collision with TV producer Zach Jensen. Stage manager Bonnie scoured stadium for double XL replacement and found a wrinkled brown.
I mean,
I got to see. It must be in like replies or something like that because he was on a roll.
I got a question.
With the food.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just go to the team store and grab him a shirt?
I think that's what they tried to do.
They just found him a random shirt from anywhere instead of just going to the team store that had a
budgetary,
nice,
dude. They want to buy the shirt. They don't have to.
It's their shirt. You don't have to buy it. Just put it on our tab. We'll be paying the tab anyway.
What happened to all his other two? He was tweeting at like.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Did he delete them?
I don't know if he deleted them or not, but
I saw those all over Twitter complaining about DoorDash and Uber Eats and stuff like that. Guess I'll stay up and work on this coffee stain on my undershirt from earlier fiasco today. Kind of reminds me of an empty stomach and intestinal tract. How fitting this evening. Good night, everyone, or good morning. He sent that at 1:33 a.m. Pacific time. I hope he's sleeping right now. I really do. You might be waking him up on the phone call to get him on the show today.
I mean, he had to wait an hour for Uber Eats before it was eventually canceled on him. I mean, brother needs a hug in the worst way.
That happened to me one time with the Uber Eats situation.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Nashville, and I landed at like 1 or something in the morning, and I was hungry, but I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna make my Uber drive through anything. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I know you could do that. I don't. That's not something I want to do. So I did. You know what I did? I did it with White Castle because there's not a lot of places that I go that have a White Castle. I'm like, you know what? White Castle's open. They're open for 23 hours a day.
Yes, White Castle is a wonderful place to go if you want to challenge your immune system to a fight.
23 hours. They're open 23 hours a day. It said it was open on the DoorDash, on the Grubhub, whatever it was. So I ordered that. And so I'm staying up because I ordered it. It didn't cancel on me, but it took them like an hour and a half because it was open when I ordered it, and then they closed for an hour, and then they reopen again, like on like some type of shift change thing. Like early, I'm like, they said this place is open 24 hours. They lied. It was actually 23 hours and like 30 minutes. It's like the dumbest 24-hour time. There's like 30 minutes where they're closed in the middle of the night, and I hit that perfectly. And so it was the longest wait for like mediocre White Castle. Happens sometimes. I have yet to fall asleep with the DoorDash on the front door. I have buddies that do that all the time. Have you ever done that before?
No, God, no.
Where you're just like, you had a great time and you get home and you, under the influence of having a good time, order some type of food on a delivery app, and then you pass out on the couch when it shows up. You wake up the next morning and it's like, hey, look, there's a 6-piece out there. Hey, look, breakfast.
No, that's what
my buddy Mike's done that at least 25 times.
That's what a Taco Bell drive-through at 1:00 in the morning is for. That's not for DoorDash. Come on.
You can't be driving through if you've had a good time, Frank. So you have to order it on your phone. Those are some people that are having a good time late at night, and then they, under the influence of having a good time, order the food, and then they pass out on the couch, and the food is on the front.
Because of my work schedule that I used to have, I have seen enough times where people have walked through a drive-through before.
What does that have to do with anything?
I have absolutely seen that.
You're not allowed to do that. But what does that have to do with anything?
It's also 1:00 in the morning.
I mean, if you're Ubering home from a place, you're not going to just like
I've
walk through a drive-through.
No, like I've seen people who have like lived close nearby. I've known people that have done this. They live nearby. They had a party. They live nearby. They just walk there and back. And on the way, there's a Taco Bell or a Burger King or whatever, and they just walk through the drive-through at 1:00 in the morning.
That's what DoorDash is for.
And as I would say, if I ever worked in fast food, I don't get paid enough to care about whether or not you're in a car, and I don't get paid enough to have the argument for arguing with you that you're not in a car. So here's your stuff.
Have you ever worked a drive-thru before?
God, no.
I have. It's fun. I did it for Starbucks, so it's a little bit, at least I don't smell like French fries. I smell like coffee, which is not the worst smell to smell like. I would have too much fun on the headset. Just way too much fun on the headset. I had to remember, I was like, all right, they're not going to think this is funny. I would mess with like, people on the intercom. They have, have you ever seen those bars, like Kind bars?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So Starbucks has Kind bars. And so some like, 30 to 40-year-old mom. This was I was in Tucson. I'm a college kid working at Starbucks in the drive-thru, and I got the drive-thru deal. So I'm like, hey, welcome to Starbucks. What can I get started for you today? And she's like, ordering. She goes like, do you have any Kind bars left? I said, no, but we have Cross bars, and we have Angry bars.
Foul. No, too foul.
And she was like, what are those? I go, ma'am, it's a joke. We have Kind bars. Do you want one? Yeah, sure. The best part about the drive-thru, this is what people need to understand about the drive-thru, okay? Don't be mean to the people at the drive-thru, okay? Because they're on headset. And all they do is talk S about you after you leave.
Yep.
That's assuming that they don't absolutely just tell the guy making your food or tell the person making your drink, this guy sucks. Maybe you should put something else in there. Maybe you should not actually get his drink right. Just be kind. or suffer the consequences of said actions. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it happens. Anyway, Bob had a rough time last night with the food situation. That's not fun traveling at that time. You know, I could see. I know the broadcasters always complain about the travel and stuff like that, and it's definitely brutal to have to do that 4 a.m. I think the hardest part is like when you get somewhere and you're hungry, and you know you're either gonna like wear it and just go to bed, and just be like, I'm gonna wake up hungry, starving, and just devour breakfast, or you play the DoorDash game. But I think the fact that Scan played the DoorDash game, once you start that game, Frank, you're finishing that game. It might be as long as a Monopoly game, but you are finishing that game. Because once you get going and you're on DoorDash or Grubhub and you're starting to order food and you're starting to like check off things, you're starting getting even hungrier. You can't get denied at that point. The no is not an answer. You are now committed to getting the food. You are committed to it. I don't think Bob got the food.
No.
I will say this. I have seen a couple of times on like a Saturday morning, if I'm up early enough, anywhere you go, when you see the fallen soldier of the fast food bag outside somebody's door, it's the funniest thing. I saw that on vacation with the Palm Springs for the weekend. I saw that outside a couple La Quinta hotel rooms. I saw it. I've seen it like in I got relatives that live in like a gated community. Like you're driving out in the morning and there's like just food stacked up outside the gate, and like, oh man, a rough night. Fallen soldier. We'll check in with Bob and see how he does. See if he's awake at 1:35. He'll join us later on in the show. Eddie Brown's going to join us today as well. Get you locked in for some fantasy football. Plus, he's been doing a lot of San Diego FC coverage, and they had a big game yesterday. Also, we're going to get to that in the 1 o'clock hour. When we come back, get the takeaways from yesterday's game as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. We'll get to that later on in the show. We got to find like what the original one was. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Jesse Rogers has reported a new salary cap threshold that has been proposed by the MLB owners. What did you say? Only 9 teams are actually in compliance with this?
Only 9 teams comply.
That means the top and the bottom, though. That's not just like...
Yes, both top end and bottom end. Half of the league is short on the floor. 6 teams are spending too much.
What was it, 170 something?
Salary cap proposed number is $245.3 million. And then the floor is 171.2. That's the proposal. That's back from June.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that one is the original. That's not a
this is not breaking news. It's
no,
the same
it's
thing
just,
over again.
Yeah, it's just where the I guess where the teams meet, I guess.
Yeah, it just says it's just hard cap and salary floor. It's the same that they had before.
Yeah.
$171 million is, I mean, at this point, you might as well just make it 300 and 200. What's the difference?
I was not duped by Twitter again. Stop it.
No, that was actually Jesse Rogers.
Thank you.
He has been duped before, but this is not one of the times that he has been duped.
And those accounts get blocked every time.
They keep creating new accounts to dupe Frank Marchese. Absolutely. Did you see the tweet at us? I'm Drake Smith. Harold and Kumar and Frank go to White Castle. Amazing. Let me ask you this. We got to get back on Padres topics, but if San Diego to White Castle, how many times did you go there a week or a month? Let's say a month.
Once or twice, maybe.
That's it?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It'd be mostly for the mozzarella sticks, honestly. If I go there more than twice, it'd be for the mozzarella sticks.
I always forget that you actually like that you think that's like the best mozz sticks.
They are. From fast food places, they 100% are.
Have you had Sonic's?
No, I have not.
See, my other buddy from New York reminds me a lot of like you. He talks about Sonic's mozz sticks as being the best. It's a shame that we don't have a White Castle here to do a taste test for you.
There's one, I mean, if...
Nope. Where's the closest one? Vegas?
No, it's in Goodyear.
Oh, God. That's almost worse.
Well, no. If next year, because I plan on going back to Phoenix for the race next year, if you would like to come with me, that would be in March. If you can spare a weekend, we can stop on the way back. We can stop either on the way to the track or on the way back. It's like 10 minutes away from the racetrack.
Let's get to I will be out there in like a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll just bring some home for you. See how they survive the flight. They probably are they probably don't expire at all.
That's not good.
That's most of the fast food that you eat. I mean, that's not surprise. That shouldn't be very surprising to you.
No, I know, but still, I'd like to at least pretend not have something that's like 2 days old that's been on an airplane.
The thing is that might actually be what you're getting when you go to that might actually be the fresh version. Anyway. Padres in the playoff spot that they're in. At this point, they now have this is why this is stupid, right? I think the whole playoff odds on Fangraphs is dumb. The Padres playoff odds right now are 60.1% to make the playoffs. A month ago, maybe just under a month ago, on July 24th, those playoff odds were 9.2%. They're now up to a 60%. So take that for what it's worth. But the Padres playing good baseball. They have now climbed 6 teams in the standings. They have the number 2 spot in the wild card. And if the season ended today, they'd have a rematch with Chicago in the same place, Wrigley Field, for a best-of-3 series to start the postseason. Your thoughts about the Padres in their current playoff spot before we talk about yesterday's game?
Right now, you're maxing out your potential at this point. You're maxing out where you can be. This is as perfect a situation as you could possibly imagine. It's going to be very difficult. You've made it a little bit harder. You made it a little bit easier on yourself by beating Milwaukee in the season series. If you do end up getting close, and if Milwaukee does fall back a little bit, I think Lane Grindle said yesterday that they have 7 games against the Cubs coming up this season, remaining.
They do.
So that's going to cut into the wild card lead for both of those teams. If the Cubs win the division, I think you're in a better spot and you could potentially get that number 4 wild card spot. But right now, I think 5 is kind of the goal, and 5 is where you're at right now. You're maximizing what you can do for the rest of the season.
I think it's just going to be hard to catch Chicago or Milwaukee. I think Chicago's going to catch Milwaukee. I think it's going to be very difficult for the Padres to catch Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. I mean, as of right now, the Brewers have a 3-game lead on Chicago, and you're 6.5 back from Chicago. I mean, you're 9.5 games back from Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. You are 6.5 games back from Chicago, and they're 3 games back from Milwaukee. So it's actually you have a better chance of catching the Dodgers right now that you're 8.5 back from than you would be catching the Brewers if this all starts turning in that direction. We haven't looked too much at like the Cubs upcoming schedule because that was like kind of a pipe dream. They're now the next team up, if you will, if you want to try to catch the Cubbies, but 6.5 games back is tough. And they've been playing some really, really good baseball. They got the Nationals today. Then they got the Cardinals. They got the White Sox. Okay. So it's pretty decent. At Seattle, they play the Diamondbacks on the road, which I think is going to help the Padres out in one way or another. They got Cincinnati. And then all of the 7 games against Milwaukee are in 1 week. They're in a 1-week span. It's the last day of August and the first 3 days of September, and then the 7th, 8th, and 9th in September. And they got the Marlins mixed in. So maybe that's a difficult enough schedule where the Padres can make up some ground on the Cubs, because as we mentioned in the roundtable, the Padres play. I think Elo mentioned that they 8 of their next 10 series are against teams with a losing record. That's no guarantee that you're going to do damage against those teams, right? But as of right now, like I guess schedule wise, maybe you do make up some ground on Chicago. I haven't looked at Milwaukee's schedule. I guess I could do that right now. But aside from the games against Chicago, which are going to be a battle, where you're going to make up ground, they do have the Dodgers this weekend.
Yeah, they have a 4-game set against the Dodgers.
Seattle,
home,
Atlanta.
Yeah, home against Seattle and Atlanta, at New York against the Mets, 3 versus Texas,
Chicago,
4,
Cincinnati, Chicago, Cincinnati.
at Pittsburgh, at Baltimore, at Philadelphia, and then they close out the season against St. Louis at home. That's
still more difficult than the Padres schedule, but
it's a long 10-game road trip before coming home for the final series of the season.
They're going to be at a battle too. So I don't necessarily know if you want to. You should be. If they can hunt down Chicago, that'd be great. It's better to host playoff games than not. That's 6.5 games behind him is tough to make up.
Yes.
And 9.5 behind Milwaukee. And I think Chicago catches Milwaukee. So now you're looking at potentially trying to catch the Brewers, which is going to be very difficult to do. When you're thinking about 6.5 games, and the Cubs play today. So if they win today, you're going to be 7 games back to Chicago.
And those two playing each other is going to help you no matter what. It is going to, as long as you win, those two playing each other is going to help you. But yeah, it's still out there. It's still a pipe dream. You're still doing the best you can with what you have, but it's not necessarily impossible. You're going to need a lot of help though.
But if you look at it again from the perspective of like teams taking 2 out of 3 and losing 2 out of 3, because that's like the most logical way to make up ground, you have to outplay the Cubs. Like who they play again today? They played Washington.
I believe so, yes.
Who I think they've beaten the last 2 days.
Yeah,
so if they beat Washington today, you would have to outdo the Cubs for 7 series to tie them in the standing. So the Cubs would have to lose 7 series. You would have to win 7 series out of however many series that are left. And then you would be tied and you lose the tiebreaker. It's not impossible, but it's kind of you're probably, if you do make the playoffs, and I don't want to, put the cart before the horse right now, because the fact that the Padres are finally back in a playoff spot for the first time in a long time in terms of like this season. But if you do make the playoffs, you're probably looking at playing on the road in the wild card in the first 3 games. It's going to be almost impossible to get to that next spot. As improbable as climbing 6 teams in the standings is, and as improbable as it would have been to get to the point that they are right now, it was never impossible. This is borderline impossible. Which they're going to run out of time. They're going to run out of games at this point to try to get to that spot. So at this point, continue to play good baseball. You're playing a couple of teams with a losing record this weekend in Cleveland and then New York next week. Continue to take 2 out of 3 would be nice. It would be great to go 4-2 on the road trip. But as of right now, like if you go 500 on the road trip, it's not the end of the world. Philadelphia's got Minnesota this weekend, and I think they got St. Louis again. And then Arizona's got Atlanta and Boston. You could theoretically add games to your lead just by going 500, and based on how who Arizona and Philadelphia is playing, especially since Arizona and Philadelphia have not really taken care of business against some of the lesser teams since the All-Star breaks. That's more specifically to Philly than anything else. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that you can host a playoff series here at Petco Park, but I think you're going to have to win a road playoff series before you can even host a playoff game here at Petco. I just think that's how it's going to lay out. And I think a lot of that will be because you spent too long getting ready to play this year. As great as they've played, and they've played phenomenal in the second half of the season, they wouldn't have to be dealing with these problems. I mentioned this on the roundtable. They wouldn't have to be dealing with these problems, Frank, if they just played close to their potential in the first 3 months of the season.
Yeah, 100%. And again, a lot of it has to do with, as we discussed again yesterday, guys going outside the organization to try to help themselves get better. And unfortunately, it didn't work. It took time for one to realize that it wasn't going to work, and then 2 to try to revert back to what they were doing and try to break habits that they picked up. So doing that takes time. And unfortunately, during a baseball season, that's a lot of time that was taken up trying to get back to their normal selves again.
So the Padres played themselves into a good spot. They've been playing really good baseball. And on the other side, we are going to talk a little bit more about, what yesterday's game was like. Because I think, in the last 20 games and them going 15-5 in those last 20 games, and you mentioned how many series they've won and how many streaks they've been on since the second half started. They're playing like a team, and this will kind of tease into our next segment. They are playing like a team that is a good team and not a team that's getting lucky. I mean, they're playing a lot better than just we're on a hot streak. They're taking care of some of the little things. They are getting contributions from everybody in the on the 26-man roster. I think you seen that on full display yesterday, in particular, about everybody being able to contribute, but also using their talents to best help this team win. And I think this style of play is a recipe for long-term success, especially against lesser opponents. Now, that doesn't mean lesser opponents can't get you. I mean, we just saw the A's, who had lost like 11 in a row, take 2 out of 3 from Boston, who has now cooled off after they had a long run, a couple of weeks ago. So a lot could still happen. There's a lot going on with the Padres. There's a lot of games left of baseball, but the way yesterday played out, I think, is a great sign for the next couple of weeks for the Padres. And again, the Guardians are playing right now against Detroit in the final game in Detroit before they go home to take on our San Diego Padres. Tigers already trying to add some runs here. And you look at a lot of these opponents for the Padres coming up, they have losing records, but they're right there in the thick of things in the American League. I mean, that's just how bad the American League has been. But it'd be nice to take care of business against Cleveland, Minnesota, at the next homestand. I mean, some of these American League teams you still have to play that don't have very good records, you got to be able to take advantage of, and you got to be able to jump on those. And you still have to play the 2 best teams in the American League. The Rays and the Yankees are coming up in this next couple of stretches here. So, got to keep playing your type of style of baseball, not focus on all the other teams. But that's kind of how I see it. I can't believe how fast they have made it up the leaderboard as quickly as they did. But now that you're up there, now you have to stay there and just start distancing yourself. And I think that's the goal now for this team. I think it's start to distance yourself from Arizona and Philadelphia. And then if you start making ground on the NL Central, like Chicago, like Milwaukee, then you can start thinking about the next team to jump potentially. But they're playing really good ball. We're going to talk about yesterday's game when we come back. And we got about other things outside of the baseball world that are interesting news and notes that we're going to explain. I don't know what Jaden Daniels is doing, but brother, it's just kind of crazy. We'll talk about that later on in the show. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting his number on Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. Padres baseball. Are the Padres actually good now? As opposed to like getting lucky? Well, let's talk about that for a second. They beat the Brewers yesterday, swept Milwaukee. That win was their 5th straight and 15th in 19 games, and it moved them into a playoff position for the first time in more than 6 weeks. Context makes the streak even more impressive. San Diego has played 16 consecutive days, including 26 games in 27 days. They finally got an off day today. I mean, 15 wins in 19 games during a 16-game stretch without a day off. And that's including 26 games in 27 days. And instead of collapsing or letting the toll of playing every single day hurt them on the workload that they have, they went 12-4 during that stretch and finished the homestand 5-1 against 2 division leaders, albeit one's the American League West. That's neither here nor there. But 2 division leaders. The Padres' recent surge has come at several important checkpoints. They lost 8 straight on July 4th and went 5-3 into the All-Star break. They entered the trade deadline knowing they needed to show A.J. Preller and ownership that they were worth investing in, and they won 8 of 10 games leading into the August 3rd deadline. Since then, they've won 7 of 10. They've gained 6.5 games in the standings over the past 33 days, and they now control their own playoff destiny. They've seen their playoff odds from being as low as 7% on July 23rd, according to Fangraphs, explode to 60% in a matter of a couple of weeks. This isn't just the team beating up on bad opponents and getting hot at the right time. They just swept Milwaukee. And I think this is a team that is starting to find different ways to win and really find themselves as a ball club. They're taking advantage of mistakes. They're surviving stretches of poor play. They're overcoming good pitching and getting contributions from its biggest stars. And perhaps more importantly, this team now has a much friendlier schedule down the road. The Padres have 5 consecutive Thursdays off, and they won't play more than 6 straight games until mid-September. They have made it through their grueling stretch. I hate Frank to pull the ripe but too early card. Who am I kidding? I love pulling the ripe but too early card. What did we talk about in like April and May about like the stretch of May and June up until basically the All-Star break? And then what did we describe about the second half of the season? What did we say back in May when this was going on?
It's the toughest part of the schedule. They're playing a lot of good teams right now. Just have to be about 500 each month. It gets easier in the second half because they're playing a lot of bad teams that are not going to look the way they do right now.
Yeah.
So it gets... Quasimodo was right about all that.
No, it's foul.
He draws the foul.
Frank did the incorporator on himself. If you know, you know. Yeah, you got to foul for that. I had I had a guy in the press box, one of the guys that we work with. He works for the Padres, but he also does stuff at USD. I gave him Nux walking out. He was like, he draws the foul. He's like, I love when you guys do that. All right, so the biggest takeaway on this. This has been a question that we've kind of answered the last couple of days. And the thing is, the more they win, I think the easier the answer becomes, because the question is, are the Padres actually good now? I think earlier in the season, I think a lot of the Padres' success felt like unsustainable or very lucky. But as Kevin Acee mentions in his newsletter, April felt lucky, and this feels like a good team. I kind of agree with that. I really do. I mean, when they were getting the job done at the beginning of the season, it was kind of like meltdowns by the other team and relying on a clutch hit in the 7th inning or later. Yes, Juan, I do know that. That's why I said, if you know, you know. Foul on Juan in the YouTube chat.
He draws the foul.
Throw me off my game. It felt like, and we had those conversations, you can't rely on just getting a big hit in the 8th inning. You can't rely on, getting a big hit in the 9th inning. I thought it was beneficial for the Padres for later in the season that they have the ability to come back, but I never said that this is a recipe for success. It just seemed unlucky. But right now, they're winning close games. They're making opponents pay for mistakes. They're getting big hits. They're surviving bad innings, and they're getting contributions from different players. And they're doing it against legitimate competition. I mean, I saw a lot of media members in town when they wrote the pregame, or should I say the pre-series breakdown of this series, they called a lot of this the measuring stick. Now, this is a good measuring stick for the Padres to see where they're at, because Milwaukee's the best team in Major League Baseball, and the Padres swept them. Now, they got some things go their way, for sure, but that's part of baseball. This is the team finally, and, we said it about a week and a half ago, but I think they have now confirmed it more, Frank. We have seen the team that we thought they could potentially be in the beginning of the season, and why we were so irritated with their style of play at the beginning of the year.
Yesterday's game, if that game happens in May, they roll over. It's all right. Well, that stinks. Hang with them, especially when May goes out and puts them down 1-2-3 for 3 straight innings. That's a game where it's okay, they've clearly shut down. They're playing for tomorrow. That's how it felt. That's how it felt. The way they were aggressive, not only on the field, not only with the base running, Jake Cronenworth getting down the line in the 8th inning, beating that out. I was sure Sung Moon Song was going to be out at the plate. I was sure of it. The throw beat him by a mile, but fortunately the throw was high. The way Craig Stammen managed that game, this is a team that has turned a corner. They have turned a major corner. This is a real team now. This is a team that is fighting. This is a team that is a hell of a lot better than they were a couple of months ago, which is why you sit there and go, yep, this was a proving moment for this team. They are real. If they weren't real, they don't win that game yesterday.
I agree. And I think you're getting some, some good experience for Craig Stammen in managing this game like a playoff game. I think you've seen now a handful of games that are playoff level games in terms of the status, in terms of the stakes of the game, obviously for the Padres. But, I know Craig Stammen doesn't have October baseball under his belt, and I'm not saying this counts as October baseball, but it's giving him a little bit of a taste, and I think he has done a good job so far. And yesterday was contributing from everybody, including, Fernando. I mean, he was influencing games. He's been influencing games despite not maybe hitting home runs, even without hitting home runs.
Even in, I think it was the 10th inning that he was on, or what was it? It may have been the 8th inning when he stole second. He's bouncing on second base. He forced 2 throwovers, then steals, and then forces another look back on second. He was a pest yesterday, and it was supposed to be a day off for him. Comes in, pinch hits for Freddie Fermin, gets intentionally walked in the 10th inning. So, I mean, he was a real pest yesterday, which is perfect. And it really, you could tell it threw some of the Brewers guys off for sure.
Yeah. But the other thing too, it's like, Fernando is doing everything. He looked like, I mentioned this on the roundtable, he looked like his rookie self, tagging almost like the same. It's almost like the same play, tagging up at third base on a pop up to the infield and scoring against Pittsburgh, early in his career, to scoring from second base on a ground ball to first. I mean, he went up pinch hit with 2 outs. He walked on 4 pitches, which at that point I'm sitting there, and that's right when I got to practice, and I'm like, all right, well, they probably pitched around Fernando to get to Rengifo and take their chances with Rengifo to try to get out of this inning with a runner on first, not a big deal. And then Rengifo walked, and now you got Jake Cronenworth at the dish with runners on first and second and 2 outs, and Fernando representing the tying run, and he hits one to in the hole on the right side. And Pat Murphy after the game mentioned that they were playing more up the middle, so that was going to be the first baseman's ball, and Ashby's got to get over and cover. But Jake Cronenworth busts his ass getting out of the box, forcing a tough play at first base, but also, Fernando's flying around the bases. As soon as but here's the other thing too. It was a 3-2 pitch. It was a 3-2 pitch with 2 outs. So he could go as soon as the delivery starts, and he does that. He takes off, and he was never going to stop. That's why you do that in that situation. He's flying around the bases, and by the time the Brewers look up after not getting the out at first base, the Padres had tied the game. I mean, that's a remarkable play by an athlete who is your best athlete on the team, best player on the team, using his speed, his instincts, his aggressiveness. These are all additional weapons that never slump. And this is why he is the player that he is. This is why he got the statue contract. It's more than just him hitting the ball over the fence.
And by the way, compliment sandwich here. Great job by Xander Bogaerts hitting the home run in the 3rd inning. But everything that you just described is after Gavin Sheets walks to lead that inning off, and then Xander Bogaerts grounds into a first pitch double play.
I know.
Completely took the air out of Petco Park, and then it comes back in immediately when Fernando comes up as a pinch hitter for Freddie Fermin, and then everything that you just said. So that could have gone very, very bad for the Padres in that 8th inning, but it didn't. Completely changed.
It's a different level of superstar for Fernando with the plays that he's able to make. I mean, again, he didn't start yesterday. It was his day off, and he goes out there and contributes and still helps out this team. The bullpen is becoming a major strength. There's also comes the warning. I mean, Adrian Morejon is pitching a lot, and he gave up that leadoff double in that inning that scored the run to make it a 3-2 game. He gives up the run with no outs, and there's a runner on third with no outs.
Yes, it was a leadoff double. Then he walks the next guy, strikeout, intentional walk, strikeout.
So in
that 11th
he
inning.
went 2 innings yesterday, which was great.
35 pitches yesterday too.
But he went 2 innings for the 7th time this season, including escaping a huge jam in the 11th inning. Larger bullpen numbers are very impressive, though. 526 bullpen innings, which is the 3rd most in Major League Baseball. 3.54 bullpen ERA, which is the 5th best in Major League Baseball. 4 Padres relievers have already thrown at least 51 innings. Morejon has thrown 65 1/3 innings in 56 appearances. So he has been phenomenal, but also the bullpen, despite being one of the reasons they're winning, they are getting used a lot. And could the bullpen workload eventually become the reason that they don't win? Maybe, perhaps. I think it's something to monitor. I think they've done a good job with Mason Miller. And there's been a lot of opportunities for him to not pitch, which I think is great.
Yesterday out of him was jarring. You're so used to seeing him just dominate the second he gets on the mound. When he has a bad day, it is really jarring. 1 inning, no runs, 2 walks. His pitch breakdown, 23 pitches, 9 strikes. He was firmly on the struggle bus yesterday.
Right. I mean, you're going to get that every once in a while. He's just so dominant.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like he's been so good this year that when you see an outing like that, he walks back-to-back guys in that 9th inning, and I'm sitting there going, wow, he really doesn't have it today. He's going to have to fight, and fortunately he did.
Back to the bullpen, they're hitting the days off at the right time. I mean, we talked about it earlier this segment. The Padres will not have an off day. I mean, they will not have more than 6 games in a row for the foreseeable future until they get to September, which is good. So they're going to have a lot of Thursdays off coming up, which I think is going to help the bullpen out a little bit. And you got to keep that bullpen as fresh as possible for October, especially if you could start winning some games here. It would be nice for them to do it without using the bullpen heavily. But you're going to need a little bit more out of guys like Robbie Ray. Like, his second start was encouraging, not exactly dominant. I said it to Frank during the game. I mean, he is a massive difference than having like Griffin Canning out there, or, Randy Vasquez, or Ramon Marquez, or really anybody that you've been throwing out there for the last couple of months, JP Sears, because, it was that 1 inning where Robbie Ray, I think, led the inning off with a couple of walks, and he ends up getting out of it with no runs.
It was the 4th inning, walks Jake Bowers, walks William Contreras, and then strikes out Gary Sanchez, strikes out Brandon Lockridge, and then gets Hamilton to fly out to left. That's the difference in the game.
But I told Frank right there, I'm like, this is the difference between Robbie Ray, even though he's not pitching well, and anybody else that we've seen. That inning turns into like a 5-run inning for other Padre pitchers. Or you're in the bullpen even earlier than you wanted to be yesterday. But Robbie Ray gets out of it. He got in a lot of deep counts. He did walk a handful of guys. I mean, he's a guy that walks people. Like, this is knowledge that we knew going into this trade deadline. He's a guy that walks people. But, they're going to need Robbie Ray to be a little bit better than he was. Again, encouraging signs that things are bouncing back. But, I still think that performance yesterday to Robbie Ray is way better than what you have had. And another big reason why this team is winning games, and another big reason why this team is on a trajectory to win a lot more in the next month and hopefully into October. So there's a lot more we want to break down, and we've talked about the pitching and stuff. We're going to talk about the offense and how everybody is contributing. I mean, I thought Ben Higgins asked an interesting question for the roundtable draft today about, who has been the best piece for this team since the All-Star break. And I think you go with a lot of different answers, but this is a team that's getting contributions from everywhere. And it starts with, to me, Jackson Merrill with his second half production. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. We're going to talk about Ty France being an underrated contributor. We're going to talk about the catching position for the Padres, as they have been phenomenal. And, Manny Machado has cooled off a little bit, and we'll talk more about that. But we still got a lot of Padres discussion to get to as we return here on the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as Sports Station 97 through the Fan. $11:23 on a Thursday. Padres got the day off today. It's the first day off in 16 days. Hopefully they're enjoying it. Hopefully they're sleeping in. Hopefully Bob Scanlan's enjoying his off day. A rough night last night. Bob tried. The guy was hungry and wanted some food. Is that so hard to get the man some food? Come on. He already had the rough thing with the coffee and the shirt, and we'll ask him about it later on the 1 o'clock hour. We're also going to have Eddie Brown on with us. We resume our fantasy football takeaways and getting you ready for the draft. Get your fantasy football draft. If you have already drafted for fantasy and you didn't throw a fit about it, you're a fool. We haven't had one preseason game yet, aside from the Hall of Fame game, and those preseason games restart back up tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Should always be drafting your fantasy team at the last possible second. The Sunday before the first game on that Thursday, probably a good time to do it. Anytime before that, you're kind of flirting with disaster, in my opinion. We'll get you everything you need to know to help prepare for your draft the next couple of weeks, and then, of course, with your fantasy team moving forward in the regular season, as Eddie Brown will join us on Thursdays. Now, we're going to get to that later on in the 1 o'clock hour. Let's talk more about some of these Padres and what they've been able to accomplish and what has been some of the contributing factors for this team on this player surge. Offensively for the Padres, Jackson Merrill is the hottest hitter on the roster. I mean, he entered his 500th plate appearance and has now hit safely in 7 straight games with an extra base hit in 6 consecutive games. That also triggers a contract escalator, increasing the guaranteed portion of his 9-year deal from $135 million to $140 million. So there you go. But the bigger story is baseball related, obviously. Merrill becoming productive at exactly the right time. We talked about this going into the season, Frank. And the big takeaway from the series in Chicago, of course, was we need our stars to star. And if that's the case, we're going to be very good. And you didn't get it for most of the season this year, but you have gotten it since the All-Star break, and you've especially gotten it out of the young player in Jackson Merrill, who missed a lot of time last year. And the beginning of the season is probably the sophomore slump, if you will. But he's looking back. He's looking a lot like the rookie season that he had, and a big reason why he got that $135 million, now $140 million contract in the first place, and he's doing it at the perfect time.
Oh, he absolutely is. He has had a very, very good run here as of late. Homered in 3 straight games, had another solid day yesterday. Reached on an error, had a double, had to sacrifice fly that tied the game in the 11th inning as well. So while he may not have gotten, and that was a hustle double too, that he got to lead in this as the second hitter of that 9th inning. So he has been very, very good. Had a little blip yesterday defensively, but other than that, he's been fantastic.
I don't know if we could continue to say that Ty France is an underrated contributor anymore.
No.
I mean, he's been doing it for the entire season. He's like one of the other names that we didn't draft on our roundtable draft today, which was like who has been the biggest contributor in the second half or like since the All-Star break on this team. I got the first pick. I picked Jackson Merrill. I think that was the obvious choice, but I think you could have gone with a lot of different players. Ty France goes undrafted in our roundtable draft, and he is somebody that has been, so consistent. You almost forget about how consistent he has been. I don't think he's an underrated contributor anymore, but he's hitting 295 with an 874 OPS. He ranks 5th among first basemen with more than 210 plate appearances. And the interesting part is the opportunity. He's done this despite starting 37 fewer games than both Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill. And, he's an important piece to this offense. I mean, when the Padres decided to bring in Ty France, I was like, all right, cool. He'll compete for an opportunity to play on this team. Maybe he could be a spot starter at first base. He's coming off of a Gold Glove year, for Toronto. This should be fun, and hopefully he contributes offensively. And now it's like, where would you be right now if it wasn't for Ty France? I mean, he has been one of the best pickups that A.J. Preller has had in an offseason in terms of a buy low, sell high type player. I mean, you are really getting the most out of Ty France right now. He's having a phenomenal year, and you can't talk about any type of success that the Padres have had without mentioning Ty France.
No, he's been great. I mean, for a guy who you didn't know whether or not he was going to make the roster in spring training, to go 2 for 4 yesterday and had the hit by pitch that ended up scoring the game-winning run yesterday, he has been absolutely phenomenal. He's flirting with hitting 300 right now on the season, going into yesterday, 17 home runs, 51 RBIs. That's way more than you would have thought that you were going to get from him this season. So he has been absolutely fantastic, and a guy who's going to cost you a heck of a lot more if you want to bring back than he did this year.
I think the more underrated contributions have come from the catching position. Luis Campusano is suddenly, giving this team elite offensive production at catcher. Freddie Fermin has given this offense some great production as of late from catcher. Fermin's been better defensively than Campusano has, but yesterday again, Campusano, guy late in the game-winning single, completed the sweep. He currently owns the highest batting average on the team, albeit he has missed some time due to an injury. He's got the highest OPS as well, and among players whose primary position is catcher. A 324 average, a 924 on OPS, as mentioned before. That's an enormous offensive weapon from a position where production is often inconsistent. And this second half has been a lot of Luis Campusano and a lot of Freddie Fermin contributing to this offense. And another main key to this team, I think, the more talked about contributions are from Merrill and from Tatis, and then Ty France, who has had a great year. I think the underrated portion of this team offensively is the catching position, especially since the All-Star break. I mean, you get this level of production out of any catcher in Major League Baseball, you're usually really cooking offensively as a team. And this is a major contribution to this team, the catching position and what they've done in the last month and a half.
Yeah, and you saw it last night. I mean, yesterday afternoon, Luis Campusano with the RBI hit coming off of the bench as well, not starting that game. Freddie Fermin did not have the greatest of days yesterday, but even before then, Luis Campusano again with the home run on Tuesday night. He has been very, very good, and defensively since returning, Freddie Fermin has been very solid, which has brought up the question of should Ethan Salas come up this season because the catching position has been so good. I think the answer to that question would be a lot easier had the guys behind the plate been struggling or continued to get hurt. But now Freddie Fermin has had some time to settle in. Campusano's playing consistently, unlike what he was last year, and he has had a lot of big contributions offensively this season.
I would be a little concerned about Manny Machado, not necessarily too concerned. I mean, he was 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position yesterday. Since July 17th, outside of a 3 for 3 performance on August 4th, he's just 2 for 20 with runners in scoring position. His 228 average with runners in scoring position this season is well below his 309 career mark entering 2026, which creates a very fascinating question about this. Can the Padres really make a deep postseason run if Machado isn't delivering in those biggest situations? And that's a question that we're going to be discussing when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. No, Ella Langley on a Thursday, huh? I'm cool with that. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. First day of school today for a lot of kids out there. Make sure you're paying attention in class, especially to the teenagers that like to call into our show. Now, some of them do respect that. Like Davis, who goes to Torrey Pines High School, that does not call in during school hours. If they do, if he does, just make sure. We are not responsible for them listening to great entertainment and watching great entertainment. It's not our fault.
Who would that be?
That's right. Now, I will say this. I will say this. I don't condone this behavior, but if your class is so boring that they have to be locked into Sports Talk Radio, you know what? That might be on you. I don't think Cathedral would appreciate me telling their teachers that. So we're not going to say that. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We're going to talk about Manny Machado here in a second. I do want to get your phone calls, though. Let's get out to Brad Escondido wants to weigh in. Brad, what's going on, man?
And I'm actually now in Columbus, Georgia for good.
All right, Columbus, Georgia. Flip it, Frank. Yeah. Flip it on the sheet. He finally made it.
Brad from Georgia. Hey, two things for the Padres. One, 40 days ago, I said, keep the faith, people. More importantly, whatever Ruben Niebla says to Mason Miller is got to be a godsend because he turns around within 2 pitches. And then last, thank God one of our runners runs out of ground ball because that wasn't Cronenworth yesterday. That was Manny or even Tatis. That's an easy out at first, boys. It's hard. It's small ball again. Love it.
They're contributing in a lot of different ways. They are getting a lot of good players. They're getting everybody to add to this as well. And Brad, you bring up some good points, and we appreciate you calling in all the way from Georgia. A little bit different of a time frame for you out there in terms of like when our show is on the air. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. The Padres are winning in ways that good teams win, I think is the biggest takeaway. This might be the overarching takeaway from this team and how they've played, especially in the last month or so. They're not blowing everybody out. They're not playing perfect baseball, but they're finding ways to win. They are doing it they're doing it via the long ball. They're doing it via small ball. They're doing it via their, starting staff going 6 innings. They're doing it because their bullpen saves the day. I mean, they are doing it in all sorts of different ways. They're getting heroes out of guys like Luis Campusano. They had Freddie Fermin win him a game not too long ago, with the bat. They have Fernando carrying the team. I mean, it is all the little things added together that is making this team so good right now. And Frank, at the right time.
Yeah, you're needing to win these games, not just because you're getting close to the end of the season, but it's also because these are teams that you should be beating. Doesn't matter what point of the season you're at. These are teams that you should be beating, and this is how you get it. You get it by contributions from everyone, and your star players just put the icing on the cake. I mean, that's how it gets done.
The Manny Machado situation, I don't necessarily know how concerning it really is. His at-bats with runners in scoring position have not been very good. This could be back on the stretch. He's been very up and down this year. He has been more up recently than he has been down, but he has cooled off. And the question that we went to break with, can the Padres really make a deep postseason run if Machado isn't delivering in those biggest situations? I think the way that the team has contributed together collectively, they might be able to overcome it early, but I think eventually they're going to need Manny to be the guy in big spots, and that is just something he has not been in a Padres uniform, is necessarily that, quote, clutch factor, if you will, in postseason games. Now, it has been a small sample size, but they're going to need Manny to contribute with runners in scoring position better than he has been in the past. I still think it's a little bit of it's kind of a weird stat because eventually, as you look over the career, players' numbers with runners in scoring position usually equate to what their regular numbers are. because that's just what you are. I mean, it doesn't necessarily change the aspect of it too much. Obviously, the situation's a little bit more heightened, so maybe the stress level is a little bit different, but the at-bat is still the same for these guys. And so over the course of the career, the runners in scoring position stat is going to be relatively close to what his overall career numbers are. So it's not overly surprising that he's 2 for 20 with runners in scoring position since August 4th. It's also not surprising that his average with runners in scoring position this season is 228 because of the fact that he's kind of hitting around there this year anyway, right? I mean, what is he hitting on the season? Like just over 210, if that? I haven't been paying attention in terms of like his overall numbers every single day.
He was hitting 215 into yesterday. He was 0 for 5.
He's hitting 213. He's hitting 213. And he's hitting 228 with runners in scoring position. That's kind of on par with what Major League Baseball players do. That's relatively close to what he's hitting this season. It's slightly above with runners in scoring position than he is, but he's not having the greatest of years in terms of batting average, so it's not surprising to me, Frank, that he's hitting 228 with runners in scoring position.
No, he's kind of, like you said, he's done what he's done pretty much the entirety of this season. He's had big moments, but they haven't necessarily come with too many people on base. He does lead the team in RBIs with 70, but even still, I mean, he is late in that game. You're sitting there thinking, okay, you got Fernando on base. You got a good part of the order coming up, and he just did not deliver in that moment, which is definitely frustrating. Kind of goes along on par with what he's been though all season long. He's had those moments, sure, but it's when the team has really needed it, it's come up just a little bit short.
I mean, you look at his career numbers, and Kevin Acey had in his newsletter that Machado's career batting average with runners in scoring position is 309. So that it's not crazy that is the number when his career batting average is 275. I mean, that's relatively close. I mean, the runners in scoring position number is usually slightly higher than what their career, or really the runners in scoring position number is usually slightly higher than what the normal average number is based on the same criteria. It's no surprise to me that it's way down this year when he is not hitting very well this year in terms of an average.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still got a 710 OPS. He still has 23 home runs. I mean, he's 4 away from tying the amount of home runs he hit last year, and last year he was an all-star. And it's not far off from some of the other numbers. I mean, he hit 7 more home runs. He'll have a 30-homer season, which he hadn't done since 2023. And if he gets 7 or 8 home runs, right, he'll hit over 30 home runs for the second time in his Padres tenure. I mean, there's not too many times that he is, getting up to that number on occasion. And his career number is 37 home runs. He's kind of cooled off a little bit since then, but it's no surprise that his runners in scoring position numbers are a little bit down there. So, a lot to discuss still when it comes to this Padres team. I do want to talk about how this team compares to 2024. We're going to do that later on in the show. I do want to get to this Jaden Daniels situation because it's hilarious, but we got to get to the sports thread, which will not have the Jaden Daniels situation in it because I want to spend a little bit more time on that. What else is going on in the sports world?
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
Well, 'tis the season.
What do we got going on?
We got a lot of football here.
Number 1.
Scrimmages for high school teams are today.
We'll start off with a team that is known as
The Bears. The Bears.
Are they still the Bears?
They are
Are
still
they still going to be the Bears?
They are still the Bears.
Oh man, talk about a guy getting duped.
This isn't that story though. The Bears head coach, Ben Johnson, isn't satisfied with simply winning the Super Bowl this season. After leading Chicago to an 11-6 record and an AFC North title in his first season, Johnson says he wants the Bears to become the highest scoring offense in NFL history this season, surpassing the 2013 Broncos record of 37.9 points per game. He also wants shutouts, blowouts, and even believes an undefeated season could be possible. With Caleb Williams entering year 3, Johnson clearly believes Chicago has the talent to think much bigger than simply winning its division. Is Ben Johnson's ultra-high standards exactly what the Bears need to become a championship team, or is setting goals like an all-time scoring record and undefeated seasons setting up a team for unrealistic expectations?
That is crazy expectations to have. I mean, if you want that to be ultimate goal, I guess you have like a goal board and you start checking goals off as you go, and like that's just the let's just be the best ever is like the long-term goal, or you know, maybe one that you might reach at the end of the year. Sure, I mean, reach for the stars, but like if that's your main goal this season, I just like, what are we doing? Like, is this about winning games, or is this about Ben Johnson trying to show that he's a great offensive coordinator? Like, what is this about exactly? Like, with everything that's going on right now in the NFL, does anybody want to win games, or are they just worried about their own personal accolades or own personal jersey numbers or their own personal stadium needs? I mean, what are we talking about here? Unrealistic expectations for the Chicago Bears. Just like the goal should be like winning the Super Bowl. If you happen to do it via having the best offense, great. You know what sucks? Having the NFL's number one offense and number one defense and not doing anything in the playoffs. You know who that is. Mm-hmm. You know who did that. Mm-hmm. If you know, you know.
Number 2.
College football is making several notable rule changes this season, with the biggest coming to targeting penalties. A player receiving his first targeting call of a season will no longer automatically miss the first half of the team's next game, regardless of when the penalty occurs. A second targeting violation will still result in a first half suspension, while a third means missing the entire following game. Offensive pass interference is also being reduced from 15 yards to 10, while college football will introduce the rarely used fair catch kick, giving teams another potential way to score 3 points. Coaches will also receive 2 replay challenges with the possibility of earning a third. Which 2026 rule will have the biggest impact on college football? The new targeting rule, additional challenges, or the introduction of the fair catch kick?
All right, so now they're going to go with the NFL rule that, well, I think you could do this in high school too, but if you call for a fair catch, you can ask for a free kick.
I believe so.
And then you can make the field goal. So like right for half, if you hold a team and they punt it and you call for a fair catch at like the 50-yard line, you could roll your team out there for a free kick.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I don't know how much that's going to get called into play. I mean, you would have to get great field position to make it work. It's kicking it off a tee, and again, if you miss, the other team gets the ball. So we'll see if anybody uses it this year. I don't mind the rule though, because like the NFL's got it, I think high school's got it as well. The targeting rule I think is better. I don't think it's great. I don't think there is. I think if you're going to do targeting, which I think what they used targeting for eliminated a lot of the big hits that they were looking to get rid of in football. I think it's already accomplished that. I think suspending kids for games because of a hit is ridiculous. I think they need to have a flagrant 1, flagrant 2 kind of style of targeting, where if it looks like it was malicious intent, right, or if it didn't look like it was an accident. I know that's too much judgment involved, but it shouldn't be a suspension or an ejection. It should be just a 15-yard penalty, because targeting is a joke. In general, I'm glad they're starting to fix some of that, but I don't think it's enough yet. And then the challenges, I mean, I guess you make it like the NFL. I don't mind the challenges either, because like relying on the booth to call it all the time and like trying to call that phantom timeout, hoping the booth will look at it, is kind of ridiculous. The games will take a very long time, even more so than they already are, but I don't mind these rules. I think the targeting one's probably the best step in the right direction, but I still think more needs to be done.
Fair enough.
Number 3.
We got time for one more. Do you want to go with the Pirates or the A's?
Pirates.
Pittsburgh Pirates ace Paul Skeens was pulled after just 65 pitches on Tuesday, despite insisting that the early exit was not injury-related. The reigning Cy Young winner is going through an uncharacteristic stretch, going 3-4 with a 5.79 ERA in his past 9 starts, while his average fastball velocity has dropped significantly from previous seasons. In Miami, Skeens averaged just 95.7 and failed to reach 97 on any pitch. Skeens acknowledged that change to his routine and overall volume of pitches he's throwing could be contributing to the struggles, but with his velocity continuing to decline, the Pirates have to be paying close attention. At what point does a significant velocity drop become something more than a slump? And should the Pirates be more aggressive about protecting Skeens, even if he insists he's healthy?
I mean, right now, I think they have to evaluate whether or not they're still in this thing or not. They're 6 games out of a wild card. They're in last place in the NL Central. I think you got to protect. Sometimes you got to protect players from themselves. I mean, they lose. I mean, if they lose, they're playing right now, right? Aren't they playing Miami right now?
Yeah, they're playing Miami right now.
I mean, they've already lost 3 in a row. I mean, they lose the 4 in a row. They start dropping even more out of 6 games out of the wild card spot. I think you need to start evaluating your ball club for next year and trying to keep your team as healthy as possible. And you have to, sometimes you have to protect stars from themselves. I mean, at this point, what are the Pirates playing for unless they get hot? Mm-hmm. They're not playing for anything again. So it's more beneficial if the Pirates use Paul Skeens next year at the beginning of the year to potentially chase actually making the postseason instead of just throwing the throw at this point. So I think they need to make a better decision here with Paul Skeens and especially make sure he's okay before trotting him out there again.
The one about the A's was Jacob Wilson had his errorless streak reinstated on scoring.
Oh, wow. 2 hours in, 2 hours to go.
San Diego, no warm-up needed. If it matters in this city, you're hearing about it right here.
The Michael King contract, super creative. I think it's a great win for the Padres.
Real opinions, real takes, no wasted time.
It has been the little things that have outdone San Diego State, and that's where they got to improve.
Live and local on 97.3 The Fan. The Braden Surprenant Show starts now.
New lunchtime hour on The Fan. We had our epic wings today. At least I did. I dabbled in a little bit of everything with the epic wings. I'm going to tell you right now, my opening segment, I was counting down the minutes because my lips are like slightly chapped, but not really. And I had some of the garlic hot and they got on my lips and it was, oh man, I was struggling. Absolutely struggling. All right. I do want to give a shout out here. We had, I mentioned today's the first day of school for a lot of people. I know it's the first day of school for Cathedral. But as I mentioned before, like kids shouldn't be watching our show during class. We appreciate it. Make sure you pay attention in class. Depending on the class, you might be learning more in this class, our class here, the Braden Surprenant Show class, over like what you're actually learning in class. But you should pay attention in class, in school. We did get a text, somebody out of town, friend of our show, longtime football coach from Fallbrook High School, not at Fallbrook High School. I won't say where he's a principal at, but our guy Chris Four, who you met at the loft the one time he had his daughter at the game. Chris is tuned in, big Padres fan. He does the Lord's work, dealing with all the Dodger fans in the southern section. He'll pop off for us here in San Diego. It's great, love it. I do think he does a good job of holding media members accountable up there in the LA area. There's some of the media members, Frank, that cover high school sports in the southern section. I just go like, somebody pull this guy's credential for like the outlandish things that he's saying about, quote, journalism. Oh, well, Chris, if you were a journalist, like, dude, get off your high horse. All right. Like, there's a lot of other journalists out there that see this BS that you guys like spew about how important you are. It doesn't look good, and it doesn't make us look good. But anyway, he texted me, Chris. He is a principal. I'm not going to say his high school. No, it's not. It's in the desert up there north of us. And he goes, "Is it okay for principals to watch during class?" You know what? I think it is.
No,
I think it is.
Who's supposed to be? I mean, you're supposed to be molding young minds. How are you doing that?
By listening to us, of course. By watching us.
Well, then put us up in every classroom.
You know what? I think there should be an assembly. There needs to be an assembly at his school in which we are on the board.
Yes.
Specifically, if most of his students are not Padre fans. We got to, spread the great word of being Padre fans.
If you're going to do it, you got to do it. Like, you got to go all the way.
I know.
Don't just hog us all to yourself either.
He's the principal of the show.
Spread the
Augie foul.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
Give him a tech for that?
Come on. Am I wrong?
I don't know if it's chat talking smack. People like to talk smack on me all the time because they're intimidated or they're afraid. It's okay. Happens all the time. Didn't see those comments but we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. Okay, let's get to something else I wanted to discuss today. If we take, when we've been doing a lot of baseball coverage in the first couple hours, we will continue our baseball coverage. And our baseball coverage is brought on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi, one price, 5 years, guaranteed. Xfinity. Imagine that. I do want to talk about the Jaden Daniels situation. I think this was more important than just the sports thread. I also think that whole Chicago Bears sham of a story yesterday was more important than what we could get on the sports thread, and we didn't actually even get to it on the sports thread. What was that guy's name that reported that last night? Do you have that?
From which one? The Bears story?
The Bears
or
one. I sent it yesterday. What was that guy's name?
Back
Ben
there.
Devine. No relation to Divine Sports Gospel. Unless it's like his cousin or something like that. But then if that's the case, super foul. Oh, so Ben Devine. He's a Chicago Bears analyst, the Bears fans insider, covering Chicago sports and nailing predictions since 2009.
Can you say it properly, by the way?
The Bears. The Bears.
I'm not doing a Chicago accent every time we say the Bears.
You have to.
I don't have to
It's
do
the
it.
rules.
Whose rules are that?
It's the rules.
No. Anyway, that's his bio. His Twitter handle is Chicago NFL. Now, he put out yesterday. Oh, no, he deleted it already. Okay, it's saved here. He put out yesterday. Again, I told you his bio. Chicago Bears analyst. The Bears fans insider.
Got Bears.
Covering Chicago sports and nailing predictions since 2009. Nailing predictions since 2009. He tweeted this out yesterday. Breaking. A finalized stadium deal is expected tomorrow with the Chicago Bears, landing in Indiana. Per source, Indiana is so heavily incentivizing the deal as to include a name change with Indiana in the team name when the stadium completes. He was so set on this. I sent this to you last night, Adam. Like, there's no way anybody is buying this. Why would the Bears do this? This makes absolute no sense. Like, it makes no sense. Like,
but he's been nailing predictions.
Predictions since 2009 is in his bio. I don't doubt that they're moving to Indiana. That part I believe. I think they could totally do it. I mean, Chicago borders Indiana. Okay, you can seriously. It's like driving. They could build a stadium on the border and still be the Chicago Bears. That it's fine with me. But like the saying that they might actually change their name because like Indiana is trying to like make that a deal. There's no way they would ever do that. Which means I don't understand why he would go with this on any type of source that he has, despite the fact that he's been nailing predictions since 2009. Now, that was a big story last night. And so this morning, because they had to ask the Bears about this, Bears chairman George McCaskey said today the organization's name will remain the Chicago Bears, whether their new stadium is in Arlington Heights or Hammond, Indiana, which makes a lot of sense. I think it would be brand suicide to change your name from the Chicago Bears to the Indiana Bears or whatever it may be just to appease Indiana. I don't care if the state of Indiana gives you billions of dollars. It would not make a lot of sense to change your name from the Chicago Bears. Absolutely zero. So now, our guy Ben Devine has to do some serious damage control this morning. 2 hours ago, retraction. And I give this guy some credit. You want to know why? Because sometimes people admit when they're wrong. This is what he said, Frank. Did you see this tweet?
No.
Retraction, instead of the breaking, Retraction. I was duped. The source mentioned here, I now believe to be either fraudulent or intentionally manipulative. Someone went to immense lengths to verify identity for this one post. I've gotten no other info from him. I will not be posting any further stadium updates. I believe there will not be any name change, but will land in Indiana. I will delete the post shortly after the retraction is seen. I am sorry, and I'm owning it. Sticking to on-field drama. As always, enjoy the Chicago, in all caps, Bears. He was duped. I was duped. That sounds like a cartoon. I was duped. This is erroneous. Preposterous. I was duped. Oh, man. I don't know, Frank, if you could continue to have in your bio nailing predictions since 2009 when you clearly missed this one. Close! I was duped. It's sad.
My retraction is I was lied to.
I was duped. I was duped. Did anybody actually believe that the Bears are going to change their name?
No.
No, I didn't think so either. They could move. I mean, totally fine. They could move, but there's no way that I thought that they were going to change their name. I think that would be dumb. Which also leads to the other rumor that they're going to take the C off their helmet and put a bear on the side. I also think that would be kind of dumb. I know they have already changed their main logo to the bear as of a couple of years ago, and the C for Chicago is an alternate logo now. But I still think the C on the side of the helmet is the classic. I don't need to see a bear on the side of the helmet. This is more time I needed to spend on the Chicago Bears. But you know what? They were almost for 3 hours, the Indiana Bears, according to a source that duped this man. He was duped. Let's get to the Jaden Daniels fiasco, shall we? This is the other story that happened yesterday night that I was like, is this guy for real right now? Oh, he's serious. Oh, he's being serious. Oh, he actually sent the cease and desist. LSU and Jaden Daniels are having a little bit of a dispute due to the fact that LSU has handed out the number 5 jersey to a current sophomore cornerback in DJ Pickett.
How dare they?
And Jaden Daniels is not happy about it. Which, by the way, he should be ready to be locked into the NFL season. Adam did send us his Jaden Daniels' post on Instagram about his statement on this. Mm-hmm. You have that ready for when we need to get to that. But here's what happened. Jaden Daniels' attorney sent LSU athletic director Verg Osbury a cease and desist letter dated August 5th telling the school it could no longer use Daniels' name, image, and likeness. The immediate flashpoint, LSU gave number 5, which Jaden Daniels wore at LSU, to sophomore cornerback DJ Pickett, even though Daniels wore the number during his Heisman-winning 2023 season. Oh, the audacity of LSU. How dare you do that? Daniels' representatives say he made clear he did not want LSU to give the number to another player. Imagine retiring your own number. No, I'm going to retire it. Nobody's allowed to use this but me, because I'm the greatest thing that's ever happened. Daniels' camp views the decision as disrespectful to Jaden Daniels' LSU legacy and believes the school failed to honor what Daniels accomplished. Look, man, I understand he won a Heisman. I totally get that, which is more of a personal accolade than anything else. But we're talking about a dude that didn't win a national championship. We're talking about a dude that didn't have an undefeated season. We're talking about a dude that went 10-3 in he was there for 2 years, if that, maybe 1 year. Can't remember. I mean, he spent 3 years at Arizona State. It's not even like he was there very long. And we have the audacity to be like, nobody can wear my number because I won a Heisman Trophy? What? Importantly, number 5 was never officially retired, so LSU did not violate its formal jersey retirement policy by assigning it to Pickett. Now, the biggest wrinkle to this is what's funny to me. This is where we get fun. This is where things get funny. This is what makes LSU's position much more defensible. Lane Kiffin, who's now the new head coach at LSU, who has his own drama, says Pickett was promised number 5 during his recruitment before Lane Kiffin got there. Pickett wore number 5 in high school and apparently expected to have it when he signed with LSU in December of 2024. Kiffin said that promise was made before he arrived and that he believed LSU should honor commitments made to recruits. Former coach Brian Kelly backed that explanation, saying he personally declined to give Pickett number 5 because Daniels hadn't agreed to it. So LSU has 2 competing promises. They told Jaden Daniels his number would never be given away. They told Pickett, the now sophomore quarterback DJ Pickett, that, hey, if you come here, we'll give you whatever number you want. We'll give you number 5. And now we have this big problem over a number. Over a number. This is the most bizarre, nothing burger story that is turned into such a distraction that is such a bunch of eyewash I have ever seen. This is where we're at right now. I mean, I'd have to look up exactly what he did. I remember Jaden Daniels being a really good quarterback. We talked about how, him missing time last year for Washington ultimately did in with the Washington Commanders. But Jaden Daniels, I mean, he played at Arizona State, and then he went to LSU. He played at LSU for 2 years. And at LSU, he did win a Heisman, but he didn't really do anything else. I know winning the Heisman's a big deal. I don't necessarily know if that distinguishes letting him retire his own number. Everybody's making the comparison to Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow actually went undefeated and won a national championship game for LSU. They haven't officially retired his number yet, but they haven't also given it out. And so now there's a problem about Jaden Daniels. Well, why is Jaden Daniels' number getting handed out? What are we doing, guys? This is such an eye guy thing to say, Jaden Daniels. How dare you use my name, image, and likeness nobody should ever use number 5. I'm the greatest thing that's ever happened. Yada, 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 yada. It's what are we doing here? The dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's the dumbest story I've ever read. So stupid. If I'm LSU, I'm like, all right, we're still gonna do what we do over here. I mean, who in Jaden Daniels' camp thought, you know what, this is a fantastic idea. Let me alienate ourselves from LSU and their fans. Let me get the rest of the country to think I'm such an eye guy and not like me. And just what kind of PR stunt is this, Frank? I mean, this is not good across the board for Jaden Daniels. Absolutely none. And then he put this out on Instagram. You got that ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, here, go ahead, Frank. What did he say on Instagram about his official statement on this matter?
The Daniels family is deeply disappointed and feels profoundly disrespected by LSU's decision to give Jaden's number to another player. Jaden and his family had every reason to believe that his number would remain a meaningful part of LSU's legacy and would be honored and protected in recognition of his extraordinary contributions to the university.
Oh, my God.
If I am petty enough that I would do this, I would look through, I'm doing it right now. I'm trying to find it right now. I am looking up every single player that has ever worn number 5 for LSU football. And I'm going to have all of my current players wear number 5. Happy Garrett Nussmeier Day. And then it's a Garrett Nussmeier appreciation game. We're all wearing number 5 for Garrett Nussmeier. We're all wearing number 5 this week for this guy. We're all wearing number 5 this week for that guy. Just completely devalue the number just to annoy this kid.
The LSU Tigers, and he played 2 years for LSU. He went 10-4 and 9-3. I mean, those are solid years, but those aren't anything of throwing a fit that somebody wore your number. The 2022 LSU Tigers team, again, that went 10-4 and 6-2 in the SEC. They made it to the SEC championship game. Do you know what the final score of that game was against Georgia?
No.
They lost 50-30. And then they won the Citrus Bowl against Purdue 63-7. Good for you. They finished the season.
Beat Purdue.
They finished the season 15th in the country. The achievements that he had for LSU. That was in 2022. In 2023, they went 9-3. They went to the ReliaQuest Bowl. And you know what? I guess he's a ReliaQuest Bowl champion as they beat Wisconsin 35-31. They finished top 12 in the nation, 12th in the country, 10-3, 6-2 in the SEC. Didn't even win their division. In fact, came in third place in the Western Division with Jaden Daniels as a final year of his college career. And this is the guy that we need to drop everything and make sure that his number is retired as he retires it himself because of what he accomplished for the university, going 6-2 in conference twice? Give me a freaking break. Give me a break. So Jaden Daniels put this out on his Instagram. I have been locked in on training camp, and that's been my number one focus. Sure, buddy. I have a lot of gratitude for my time at LSU, and I'm proud of what my teammates and I accomplished there. Obviously, there are issues to be worked out between my team and LSU, and my hope is that it will get done privately. My sole personal focus is on Commanders football. I realize business of football is unique, and I trust this can all be resolved. There's just nothing that needs to be resolved. That kid's wearing number 5, and you're going to go on with your merry life, and that's going to be it. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. This is almost as ridiculous as Colorado retiring Shedeur Sanders' number. But at least, you know what? I'll give Shedeur some credit. At least it wasn't him saying, you better not give my number away. It was his dad, but you know what? That's neither here nor there. Seems a little bit different. I mean, what do we... it's the dumbest story I've ever heard. The dumbest story I've ever heard. We're going to check back into baseball when we come back. Some good news. Ethan Salas. Interesting article from Dennis Lin today about Ethan Salas. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Oh, apparently,
I got it.
yeah, thank you. Apparently, he has spoken with Lane Kiffin, who I'm sure in his Lane Kiffin way said no shot. But yeah, he wants the replica Heisman Trophy back.
I love it. So great. So funny. It's so funny. Give me the replica back. Give me everything back. What are they trying to accomplish with this? That's the biggest takeaway from me on this. It's like, what's the end game here? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, what's the goal exactly? To make sure that this like kid at LSU doesn't get to wear number 5? I mean, all you're doing is like pissing people off. I don't understand.
Left, right, and center as well.
I don't get what the end game of this is. I don't get what they're trying to do. I don't understand the concept here unless the guy is so about himself. It doesn't make any sense. And I agree with Fridge Watcher in the YouTube chat. The people in his ear are doing him a massive disservice. I saw the rumors about like maybe it's like his mom. We saw the Brandon Ayuk stuff earlier in the summer about like Jaden Daniels and his mom. I don't think this is his mom. Maybe it is. But whoever's in his camp telling him that he should just double down and just completely alienate himself from LSU might be the dumbest advice I have ever seen or ever heard of. Probably the biggest problem. I mean, if I'm LSU at this point, I would just start. It might be time to just start doing it myself. Just shipping these guys. We're just going to cut off Jaden Daniels from this deal, and just be like, all right, well, you know what? We are going to just stop promoting your stuff and promoting your name and all this other thing. I mean, like, I feel like athletes sometimes like don't understand like that legacy portion of being able to go back to the school later on. I mean, I think that falls into the conversation, Frank, with right now with the transfer portal and just going wherever pays you more, which if you have the ability to do that, and that's part of the conversation, I think you do have to weigh other options here too. Like right now with the transfer portal and moving all over the place, like when you're finally done playing ball, like you're not going to be like heralded by the rest of the student by from the alumni and stuff. They're going to be like, you were here for a year. I don't really know. Like, are you going to have a legacy anywhere you go? I think there's some important factors to that. If you only care about money, that's fine. Like, that's just a different aspect. But if you think that a lot of these schools and their fans are going to just cherish you forever, those people did that for players that played all 3 or 4 years at the school and gave them like great accomplishments, not just personal accolades, but team accolades. And I think a lot of athletes don't understand that just because you're a good athlete doesn't mean you're always going to get praise. People don't like people that are bad people, without me saying like a curse word on the air. You know, like people don't like people who suck, right?
Stuck up jerks.
People don't like people who suck, man. It's like, I had no problem. Jaden Daniels did not I was not like a huge fan of his. Not say I didn't like the guy. I was indifferent. I didn't mind him. He seemed like a cool dude. I mean, but now I'm like, I don't like this. This guy sucks. Like, this stinks. Everything about this. Give me my Heisman Trophy back. What are we doing?
Not even his Heisman Trophy.
The copy.
The replica.
He probably has the real one, right? Is he gonna go on there and like
have the real one?
Etch out the LSU part on there?
I don't know.
Why doesn't he go back to? Was he gonna say it to Arizona State? Is he gonna like tell Arizona State you can't use my number either? I mean, he spent most of his time at Arizona State in college than LSU.
Hey, man, listen. He's focused on Washington, though. He's focused on NFL training camp. He's focused on the first game of the preseason.
Right.
That's what he's focused on.
That's what he's focused on. Right. Anyway, 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Interesting article from Dennis Lynn about Ethan Salas. We're going to talk whether or not it makes sense to bring him up at the end of the year or not. On the Braden Surprenant Show, Settings on Sports Station 97.2 The Fan. I know that's kind of a bummer, Frank. I mean, it's on at 4:30, so I'm not gonna be able to watch it anyway. But like, I love the Field of Dreams game is cool. Like, I love the concept. I love the fact that they're back there again. I understand why, like, they decided to, after the first couple of years of this thing, kind of redo the entire complex over there, and make it like a bigger deal, make it like more sustainable, which is why they've had a little bit of a hiatus. But I'm excited to see it back. And now, I get where Major League Baseball is going with this, of course, with the contracts. And, if somebody offers you money to broadcast games and it's a lot of money, it's kind of hard for you to say no to that. But Netflix is doing the game tonight. They're going to try again to put on a live sporting event at 4:30 as the Twins take on the Phillies. I'll probably have to wait for the highlights anyway. Netflix got just too expensive for me to like have to pay it all the month, like once a month. So, but again, it's like the paywall stuff. I get from Major League Baseball standpoint, it's hard, and for all leagues, it's hard to say no to massive rights holder fees. But I think at some point you do want to be accessible to your fans and be able to put some of your best games on networks that your fans can watch. And this is one of those ones that you want to showcase. But it should be a fun game. They've had they had it tarped up earlier. It looks like the weather might have cleared a little bit more in Iowa. It's always a fun matchup to see, and I'd love to see the Padres play in this one time. Who knows if they will be able to shortly or not. I'm sure a lot of teams would love to go play there, but the fact that it's on Netflix kind of stinks.
And they're going to do something stupid like what they did with opening day with the Giants and Yankees. This whole game is a gimmick, a great one at that, but this entire game is a gimmick. You don't then need Netflix coming in to put a hat on a hat and just gimmick it up even more. You don't need that. Just put it on Fox the way it has been for the last couple of years. Put it on TBS, put it on NBC. NBC, it's your brand, it's your new television partner. Put it on there. Instead, you put it behind a pure paywall. It's not NBC where you can have Peacock if you want it.
Right.
It's not Fox where you can have the Fox One app if you want it. It's behind a pure paywall. And then they're going to whine and complain when the ratings are down. Well, yeah. Maybe it's because you hid it behind a paywall.
I get it. Like, I understand. Like, I mean, it's hard to turn down a big check, right? I mean, but they tried to do this for the home run derby, and then they have like one of the worst ratings that they've had for the home run derby. And it's not like the home run derby wasn't exciting. It's not like the home run derby wasn't, something that's fun to watch. And these are two teams that are like
the Phillies.
They're both battling for a playoff spot right now, but the Phillies are trending in the wrong direction and the Twins are below 500. How many people are going to be tuned into this game on Netflix when they can't find it? Oh, and by the way, I got to double check to make sure this isn't the case, but I'm pretty sure we got NFL football today.
We
have NFL football games on tonight. We have them on NFL Network. We have it on ESPN Unlimited. We have multiple games on NFL Network. I mean, there are 6 preseason games tonight in the NFL. There's 6 preseason games on tonight in the NFL. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have one on some type of local broadcast, probably in San Diego, because the Chargers are playing the Texans. But you're going to have all those games on actual television, and you're going to expect people like casuals to just tune in. The Phillies play the Twins on Netflix. I mean, the only people who are going to do that are the people who are just like cruising through Netflix that aren't really interested in watching sports anyway, because they're just Netflix people.
This is so dumb for Major League Baseball in every way, shape, and form. And they're going to sit back and they're going to go, okay, so the Field of Dreams game didn't draw. it must be the Field of Dreams game that's the problem. No, it's not the Field of Dreams game that's the problem. You knew when the NFL starts back up, you could ask them and nudge them, hey, when is your preseason going to start? You could do that. You know that. You could also not put the game behind a paywall. Those are things that you did. You, Major League Baseball, you messed this up.
Right.
Not the Field of Dreams. It's the Philadelphia Phillies. Great. They have a national following. There are people all over the country that pay attention to the Phillies. Who cares about the Twins? Who cares about the Phillies playing the Twins? Come on. Really?
Right.
This is what you go with. ESPN to a point is a paywall, yes, but you have an option to watch just straight ESPN on television.
Yeah, but he's making the point that like you don't get ESPN for free. You have to pay for cable, and that's part of a cable package. Like that's not like there's linear television that's not a paywall. That's everything that's over broadcast. So theoretically, yes, that is also a paywall. People that watch ESPN are paying for it in some capabilities, right? And so, but just putting it strictly on streaming, I think is where you kind of alienate yourself as Major League Baseball, especially when you have to, it's not like if you just do streaming, you're going to have this. You have to pay for everything on top of it. And the packages for cable are actually, somewhat affordable to an extent because everything's roped in together instead of like Netflix is not hooked up with a bunch of different stuff. Netflix is its own thing. And, most people don't they don't buy Netflix to watch the sports because there's only like one or two on it a year. And that's what Frank's mentioning. He is right. You are paying a cable subscription for ESPN. Yes. But most sports fans usually have cable over just like Netflix, right? And I think the idea of having people have to go get Netflix for one game is kind of a joke. I also think it's not available, I don't think, on MLB.TV, but for these like exclusives.
No, it's blacked out on MLB.TV.
If you have MLB.TV, you should be able to watch the games anyway. I know this is considered one of the national ones, but when ESPN used to like pay for the rights, I guess more people had ESPN, so it wasn't a big deal. It just feels like you have to pay, extra with the Netflix deal. I just don't have it, so I'm just not going to watch. And I think a lot of the people that do pay for Netflix are people that don't actually like sports. They're Netflix people, right? I just think they're appealing to the wrong audience if that was the case. It's a bummer, but I get why Major League Baseball is doing it. Interesting article today on Ethan Salas from Dennis Lin. And Dennis Lin was on Ben and Woods earlier this week and actually talked about this. Here's what Dennis Lin had to say about Ethan Salas before actually writing about the same situation later this week.
100%, I would see them considering it. I don't know about it being a lock, but I think there's a very good chance they'll be up in September and even maybe before then, because let's remember, if you want to have a player eligible for the playoffs, they need to be on the 40-man before September. So I think they're looking at it. He's only, one call away or one step away from the majors. They promoted him, just a couple weeks ago. And not unsurprisingly, his offensive stats have instantly ticked up in the PCL, which is probably a nice confidence boost for him. I will say, I think, blocking pitches remains a challenge for him. You don't want a 20-year-old in the majors in a playoff race, committing pass balls. But I think, with them already having 3 other catchers on the 40-man roster and 2 on the active roster for right now, that wouldn't be that they could probably pick and choose spots for him to catch guys if they are going to call him up in the near future. But I think, this is Adrian Preller and the Padres we're talking about. I think there is a very good chance that he's up in September, if not before.
Those were the interesting comments on Saturday. Now, on Monday of this week. Here's like what he wrote about, though, and I think this is an interesting conversation when it comes to Ethan Salas. He's forcing the conversation. Salas is. He's having a season that makes it incredibly difficult to justify keeping him in AAA indefinitely. Now, he entered Wednesday hitting .291 with a 366 on base percentage of 445 slug across two levels. And in his first 10 games with AAA El Paso, he's hitting .325 with a 625 slug. More importantly, the Padres still view him as an elite defensive catcher. They signed him for $5.6 million in 2023. That was his bonus. And then his development has gotten interrupted a couple of times. Aggressive promotions, offensive struggles. He had the back injury last year, only 10 minor league games last season, but he's healthy. He's productive again. And it's not like you need to worry if he's talented enough. It's when is the right time to expose him to the major leagues. And the thing is, though, Frank, the Padres don't really need him right now. It's great news that the catching situation is drastically improved. Luis Campusano returned from his toe and oblique injuries this year. He's hitting .311 with a .923 OPS and 119 at-bats. Freddie Fermin has recovered from his concussion and head contusion absence, and he has hit safely in 14 consecutive starts. Second in Major League Baseball in runners caught stealing. So you have the defensive element, you have the offensive element, and, they don't necessarily need Ethan Salas. But yet again, the argument for pulling him up would be he's already playing like a major league prospect. It's almost like he's right there. He's playing his way into having a difficult conversation if you're the Padres. And, maybe he gets some invaluable experience in September. My biggest takeaway, though, on this, and Bennett Woods were talking about this also, and I agree. It's like, I'd love to see Ethan Salas up as one of the two guys up, but right now you're in a pennant race and your catching position is doing very well. You're not going to be able to get him consistent at bats.
No. And I think the money issue that you brought up on Monday, where why would you start his major league clock and take time off of his major league clock for him to sit on the bench for a couple of weeks at the major league level? That to me doesn't make any sense whatsoever, especially when you're talking about negotiating to where these kids go to free agency earlier in this next CBA. So you're not only going to chop time off by having him up here for a couple of weeks, you're also going to chop time off because of the new CBA. He's going to lose a year of control that way as well. So it doesn't make sense to shoot yourself in the foot in that case. But yeah, I have no doubt that he's major league ready and is able to handle a pitching staff at this point. It's timing is the issue right now. If he's up on the major league roster on opening day next year, fantastic. I don't think they'll see him in El Paso again unless he's doing a rehab assignment.
The only way that I think he ends up actually coming up here is if they need him and he can play every day. He has to be able to play, this is the same conversation that we have I know a lot of high school coaches out there understand this. It's, this player is very talented and probably better than JV, but they're not better than the current players on the varsity team. And unless they're going to play, why have them up on the varsity team to not play? Because then you waste a year of development, you waste development time. So if they do decide to bring him up in September, then he has to play. You can't have him sit on the bench. There's no reason for it. And I honestly make that argument about Song too, because I think Song needs to be developing and getting opportunities to hit more so than he currently is. I think it's hampering his development. I think he's definitely helped out this team with his base running and definitely his glove. I mean, Song's glove's great, but to me, I think he has to play more. And I think that's the argument for not pulling up Salas is he only should come up if he's going to play almost even with some of the starters. And then I think, Saras mentioned this. I think a lot of the conversation, of course, is with, can Luis Campusano start on a daily basis, as a DH? And if that's the case, maybe you do bring up Salas so you can use another catcher if that's the case. But I this is more of a conversation for September call-ups. And the good news is for the Padres is Ethan Salas is forcing the conversation, which means he's playing incredibly well. When we come back, we'll hear from Ethan Salas a little bit. He spoke with the media in El Paso for the first time earlier this week. We have the sound for you on that. And then we got a couple of guests to finish up the show. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. We're going to talk a little Ethan Salas here, or listen to Ethan Salas here. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Do we have tickets to give away for Zach Top?
We does.
We will be doing that as we go to break in this first segment of 3 here in the 1 o'clock hour. We do have a couple of guests lined up for you as well. We are broadcasting live for the Bill House Studios. We know how. Talk about our guests in just a little bit. We are I was reading that wrong. Okay. Locking it back in. We're going to talk about Ethan Salas a little bit more right now because Ethan Salas did meet with the media a little bit. Earlier this week's the first time he's done it in El Paso. And we're going to talk more on, do we think we would be rushing Salas up if he did come up this year? But here's what Ethan Salas spoke about at the in his little media session the other day.
What are some of the adjustments that you made coming into this season? It really seems like you've taken a big step forward, particularly at the plate.
Yeah, I was just trying to get back healthy on the field after last season, the injury. I was just trying to get my swing into a spot where I was just feeling healthy again, and thank God everything's been going pretty well this year. Just trying to go out there, have fun, compete at my best level every single day, and let's let the rest take care of itself.
Speaking of the health, what has it been like just having a fully healthy season, kind of rebounding from last year?
Oh, it's been really nice. It's been really nice, refreshing. Just being back on the field every single day, having a little different mindset of a little different perspective every single day. I come to the field now, they're healthy every single day, and getting able to do what I love. So,
what's been the biggest adjustment moving up here to AAA from AA?
I just the new team, just adjusting to the new team, getting to know everyone, trying to do my best to build relationships with some of the pitchers and get to know everyone a little on a better level. But other than that, same game everywhere you go, just a little more experience, a little less mess ups during the game. So, same game, just different people.
On those lines, you're the youngest player in AAA. Does that ever kind of hit you in these past couple weeks, realizing you're the youngest at this level?
Not really. I haven't really thought about it too much. Just trying to go out there and have as much fun as possible every single day, and just happy to be out here with these guys and share the field with a lot of these guys I've seen on TV, like guys who've been in the big leagues in the past, and a lot of familiar faces. So it's pretty cool to share the field with them. I'm just super grateful to be here.
When you've gotten to share, the clubhouse with some guys that have been in the big leagues, obviously you got some guys right now that are on rehab starts. What are some of the things that you've learned from working with them that you hope to help you progress forward?
I think just the whole relationship part, just building relationships with those guys. I've spent a lot of time with these guys in spring training, just being around them in a real season setting. It's a little different, but kind of just getting to see how everyone goes about their real season and their routines on the day they pitch or on the day they're playing. So pretty much that, and trying to pick up little things along the way, little things I can add to my game. So it's been good. A lot of experience around here, a lot of things I can learn. So
I guess you're kind of the definition of being from a baseball family. Just talk about what that means, the whole family being part of this game.
It's awesome. It runs through my blood. It's something that I can't go a day without baseball, without seeing a baseball or talking about baseball in my life. So it's pretty cool. I'm super blessed to have 2 other brothers who do the same thing with me, and we can discuss the challenges of everyday life as a professional baseball player and the struggles and the successes. So it's pretty cool, and super grateful to be a part of a family that just bleeds baseball. It's cool.
How often do you get to talk to them and connect with them?
I try to talk to them every day. Obviously, the time zones and the different schedules, they kind of clash sometimes, but I try to call them as much as possible.
He sounds everything like the reports are, just mature above his years and everything like that. The Ethan Salas conversation, I think, is interesting. He continues to excel at every level he gets to. Aside from an injury, he has been great across the board. He has just been, great defensively. He has met the challenge and the task offensively every stage he has been to. And so if the Padres, if we got an update in September that the Padres were, like, we got the Jeff Sanders tweet, Ethan Salas has a locker here in San Diego, or something like that, I wouldn't be overly surprised, and nor would I be in a position of like, you can't have this happen. You absolutely can't have this happen. I think if the kid has played his way into a position where he can help you win, you got to try to do what's best for the team to help your team win. I just think right now with the way that the catchers are playing, you don't necessarily need Ethan Salas up with the big league club, and you can let him finish a full season because he has yet to play a full season in the minor leagues. And this could be a good stepping stone for him where you could bring him back and spring training, put him in a big league camp and see if he can make the team outright at the beginning of the season, whenever that may be. It could be summer training based on the off season. But Saras was on with Ben and Woods earlier this morning and talked about the previous September call-ups, because it didn't really start the clock too much. You would see a lot more of those guys in September to see what they have. Now most of these players get called up earlier to potentially, be in contention for a rookie of the year, so you can get a better draft pick because they've incentivized now getting guys up faster. And then, Saras on top of that mentioned that he doesn't really think that AJ Preller really cares about any of that stuff anyway. So it will be interesting to see what happens with the Padres here in Ethan Salas. But you know what the good news is, though, Frank? Regardless if we think I don't think if they pulled him up in September, I don't think they'd be ruining him. I think he has passed the test of the oh man, I'm blanking on the word of the challenges that the adversity, if you will. I think he has passed the adversity challenges at this point. I think it's only a matter of time now for him to come up. I don't think he's going to experience anything at the big league level that's just going to severely ruin him. I know that's the case for a lot of other players, but usually that is a something for players that have been moved up too quickly and haven't faced any failure in the minor leagues. And Ethan Salas he's faced some difficulties, if you will, in the minor leagues already. So from that perspective, I don't think it'd be a mistake. I think the mistake would be pulling him up and not playing him. Only giving him an at bat once a week, right? Because you're in a pennant race. Woods brought up a good point. I mean, when Tatis made the team at the beginning of the year in 2019, one, the veterans wanted him on the team because they thought it gave him the best chance to win. But two, they weren't seriously competing for a pennant race. Right. And they could play him every day. They could go through the growing pains and everything like that. I don't necessarily think this is the best time to do that when you're in the thick of trying to make the playoffs, because, what are you going to do if he has a bad day? Are you going to just immediately take him out? You're trying to win too at this point in time. And right now your best chance to win is with your current catchers that have been playing incredibly well.
And let's not misconstrue. You can still ruin this kid. If you keep him down too long, you could also stunt his growth. That being said, him staying down another month isn't going to ruin him either. He's going to get game reps. If they kept him down all of next year also, then yeah, you have a real chance of screwing this kid up. But right now, if he came up, I'm very much in the same boat as you. And it's the same reason why we thought Sung Moon Song was going to go back down to the minors in what was it, the middle of May or early June, whenever they were moving those guys around, was because you want him to get everyday reps. You don't want him sitting there rotting on the bench, especially when you already have two catchers up on the major league roster. If they bring him up and play him every single day, great. He becomes your number one catcher. Great. I think the smart money, though, is to have him start next year, have him be on the opening day roster next year. I think that's where your smart money is at. I'm like you. If he comes up this month, it's like, all right, let's see what you got, kid. This is it. This is where we find out. But I wouldn't be opposed to it. I wouldn't be slamming my fist going, oh, you shouldn't have done this. It's one of those things where I think the smarter decision would be to have him start next season at the major league level instead of trying to learn on the fly with a new rotation that he's going to have to learn, a new team that he's going to have to learn when you're fighting for a playoff spot.
I don't know how much of that's very new. I mean, it'd be slightly newer. I mean, he was with the big league camp in spring training. They are some of these guys that he's already seen. I just think he's passed a lot of those tests already. And I don't think I don't think he is the type of player that you can ruin unless you're just really incompetent.
Right.
Because he seems like a very mentally tough kid, and I think he'll be okay. I do want to get to this though, as we kind of flip back for a couple of minutes. And I've seen this on social media, and I kind of agree. I agree with it. The comparisons, because we didn't get to this yesterday and we didn't get to it earlier today when I said so. So I've been teasing people for now 2 days on the same topic here. The comparisons between this team and the 2024 team in terms of the role players. I mean, you got your Jurickson Profar, David Peralta, and Donovan Solano this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got that with the way that you had Ty France, and he's like the veteran that you used to have on the team, right? That played well for you. And then you were able to pick him up on a minor league deal because nobody else wanted him. And then he goes out and has a great year for the Padres, just like Jurickson Profar did from that particular sense. I mean, you picked up a Luis Rengifo, right? In the beginning of off the scrap heap. And he's been phenomenal for this team so far. And then you look at some of the other role players on this team that have helped out. I mean, this team is built with a lot of veteran guys, and you need veterans coming off that bench to help you out in a postseason run. And this team's got those guys, and they're a little bit younger than the David Peraltas and Donovan Solanos of the world, with their talent. So I love the makeup of this team is very good right now. They're playing really good baseball, but now, Frank, they have to continue it and kind of make it through this last month. The season is back in their control, which I think is the best news after sweeping Milwaukee.
Yes, controlling your own destiny by far and away is the best thing you can have. And you also have guys that are coming back too. Miguel Andujar, remember, he's still here. He's still around. So when he's ready to come back, he's going to be another big one that could step up. And you could also use your September call-up spot for not necessarily a call-up, but to get a guy back on the active roster without sending somebody down. So you could also use your spot that way. You get one for a pitcher, one for a reliever, one for a fielder.
We have Zach Top tickets to give away. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Call in, be the fifth caller. You will win 2 tickets to Zach Top at Pechanga Arena on September 17th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Eddie Brown will join us when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Static is over at Sports Station 97 to the Fan. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It is better. We got, for the first time of the football season, this means football is back. We have 6 football games today in the National Football League, and our fantasy football guru is back. But he is a man of many talents. He also has San Diego FC coverage for the San Diego Union Tribune as well. Great writer for the SDUT. It is a pleasure to be able to have him on our show on Thursdays. It is great to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Eddie Brown himself, back on these airwaves with us on the Braden Surprenant Show. Eddie, what's going on, man? How'd your summer go? You got to be excited for football, I would imagine.
Oh, great. That's an awesome introduction, Braden. I'm missed talking about fantasy with you and Frank, and everything's been going well, man. Like you said, I've been keeping busy. I'm doing some extra stuff that I'm getting a chance to do now, and it's been a lot of fun. FC's kept me busy, and we're starting to get back into I guess American football mode. So yeah, pretty excited to have fantasy back.
How's the coverage on San Diego FC been for you? How's that experience been? And obviously they had a match last night. What can you tell us real quick about what you saw last night?
They're looking better. They were in a funk for about 2 months, and they've had some additions. They've gotten healthier. The way MLS is set up, most teams make the playoffs. So the fact that they're outside the table right now is I don't think that big of a deal. I think they're set up pretty well for the stretch. It's just about keeping everybody's fitness up and everything. It's been exciting. I've always been a fan of soccer. I haven't had a chance to cover it before now, but getting out there and meeting the guys and getting to deal with Mikey and everybody, it's been good times.
You had your first fantasy piece this week. It was headlined as the missing touches. I mean, we're going to dive into first when it comes to fantasy football. You built this entire strategy around following the missing touches. How much do you trust that concept, and when the touches are being redistributed in an offense that could fundamentally change? In other words, when does opportunity matter more than talent, and when can opportunity actually be misleading? And for people that don't know what the hidden missing touches are, explain for us how you can use that as a draft strategy.
Sure. I think at its core, fantasy football and just fantasy sports, I guess, is about opportunity. You can have a talented first round pick. Let's talk about, Ashton Ginty last year, right? And maybe the situation coming out of college or whatever is not right. Doesn't have the offensive line. He might, have some big weeks, but he probably doesn't hit the expectations that a lot of people have. And then you might have some veteran like Javonte Williams end up, signing with the Cowboys, have an opportunity there to kind of rekindle, the flame of his career. And then he goes off and has a career year, pretty much because he has more opportunity in a better situation. So I think opportunity and, the environment is massively important, and usually massively more important than just talent alone. When it's the sweet spot is when you get the talented guys in the right situation and the opportunity. Those are the guys that I think we all love and we all target in the first round.
You had a lot of players identified in your first article, of course, and we're getting people ready for their fantasy football draft. And I will have a draft question for you in terms of when you should set your draft. And I think we talked about this last year. But out of all the players that you identified in this first article, who is the one you think could dramatically outperform his draft position, that is where he's expected to go in the fantasy draft?
Well, I mean, according to current ADP, I think guys like Jadarian Price and maybe Josh Downs are really set up for big leaps. I mentioned in the column, Devontae Smith and Mecca Ibuka and Ladd McConkey. Those guys are all kind of already known entities, and you're probably going to be able to get some discounts on some of those guys depending on what league, what your scoring system is and everything like that. But when you're talking about like Downs, I think that's somebody who everybody's kind of written off as a PPR guy. Hasn't been the number one guy there. They might not even look at him as the number one guy now, even with Michael Pittman in Pittsburgh, because Tyler Warren's there. But right now he's the number one receiver because Pierce is still recovering from his off-season surgery. And you're talking about a guy that even with Pittman there, with Pierce having a career year, with Tyler Warren and even Jonathan Taylor occasionally, he still put up 58 receptions and still got targeted around 90 times. So you're talking about a big boost in opportunity and somebody who's getting drafted, in the mid to late rounds. There's a real big opportunity boost there. And I think Jadarian Price is the guy that I'm kind of surprised is going as low as he can, especially with people stocking up on running backs early this year. And that's kind of a new trend with the run game kind of making its comeback in the NFL. He's replacing Kenneth Walker, who's in Kansas City now. Jacques Charbonnet is probably out until at least the middle of the year. He has competition in George Laney and Emmanuel Wilson and, those veterans. But the talent, he was underused in Notre Dame because of Love. And so I think the way Seattle's offense worked is set up specifically perfectly for him. I think Brian Fleury's outside zone system, which he, kind of mimics what San Francisco does with Christian McCaffrey, is set up perfectly for him. And so he's probably not somebody who's don't overpay for him in like PPR, because I'm still not sure about that. But I think the opportunity for a really good offense and a really good team is there, and he's going to be had at a discount as of now.
We're talking with our fantasy football insider who writes for the San Diego Union Tribune, covering a lot of different areas now for the UT. You can check out all of his writing either at SanDiegoUnionTribune.com or in the paper, if you still get the paper, in physical copy form. A lot of great work by all of you writers over there at the UT, especially the sports ones. You talked about Devontae Smith. He obviously jumps out because of big opportunity now. A.J. Brown leaving Philadelphia. Is Devontae Smith now being undervalued because we've spent so much time viewing him as a really good number 2 receiver rather than asking whether he can actually be a fantasy number 1?
I think he's being undervalued because skepticism towards Hurts, towards Jalen Hurts and towards the Eagles offense in general, and the idea, are they going to be able to diversify what they did? Because last year obviously we've been watching football for a very long time, and I can't recall a more simplified professional offense that I've ever witnessed than the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025. The reason I'm really excited about him is not just because of the talent, obviously former Heisman winner, obviously he's been one of the preeminent number 2 receivers in the NFL already, but he doesn't even have to, if he just gets a fraction of the opportunity that A.J. Brown left in his wake, after getting traded to New England, then you're talking about a 1,000-yard receiver already. So even if they don't diversify the offense, if they're still pretty simplified and it's basically, throwing to 1 or 2 people and, trying to incorporate Hurt and Saquon Barkley, then I think, he still has a lot of growth potential, because you're talking about Brown had 120 targets last year, like 1,500 air yards. If he just gets a fraction of those, you're talking about a career year. If he gets a bigger fraction of that, then you're talking about one of the top receivers in the game. The talent is definitely there, so I'm pretty excited.
You have several running backs on this list who can inherit huge workloads. Kenneth Walker III, Jadarian Price, Chuba Hubbard, to name a couple. Which one do you trust the most, and which one do you think fantasy managers could be getting too excited about simply because of the touches that are available?
I think Walker, I'm all in on Walker. There's still a little bit of, I'm a little scared of the injury risk, but that, comes with basically anybody in the NFL. So at some point you really got to let that go. But he's getting drafted in the 2nd round. So you're probably not having to spend the 1st round pick. He's going to an offense that desperately needed a run game to protect Patrick Mahomes, to benefit that play action pass game. We all know about Andy Reid's history with running backs. He played out of his mind down the stretch for the Seahawks, won the Super Bowl MVP. That's the type of player we've seen him be when he was healthy. So basically, if you tell me, you're going to get 14, 15 games out of Kenneth Walker this year, I'm telling you, okay, you're probably going to get a top 3, 4, 5 running back in fantasy. The guy that I'm a little skeptical, but I know everybody's really excited about is Basil Tootin. He's somebody that obviously like I said in the column, his 3.5 yards per carry is not really going to inspire a lot. But one of the metrics he showed that he was really good at last year was yards after contact. And so I think he's going to get the opportunity initially, but there's guys like Chris Rodriguez there who could probably take goal line carries. There's a very talented pass catcher out of the backfield, and LaQuint Allen, he came out of Syracuse a couple years back. They both could siphon work. So you start with Tootin, don't overpay, and if he can seize control of the backfield, great. You got some really great value. But if you draft him thinking like, oh man, he's going to be one of my 2 starting running backs, you could be really, really upset probably by week 5 or 6.
Talking with Eddie Brown, who writes for the San Union Tribune. He joins us to talk a little fantasy football, get you ready for the fantasy football season. We got NFL games on tonight, 6 to start the season with the preseason. We got more tomorrow and throughout the weekend. It's good to have football back. Christian Watson is probably the biggest, if healthy, player on the list. How much should fantasy managers discount injury risk when they're looking at a player with legitimate touchdown and volume upside? And is Watson the type of player you want to aggressively target, or is he someone that you can take only if the price falls?
That's kind of the quintessential question, I think, when it comes to fantasy is how do you do injuries? I think in baseball and basketball, it's a little easier to deal with. In NFL, it's a physical sport. It's part of the game. So you have to factor in, past his prologue, right? So I can see how somebody would be apprehensive with Watson, or somebody would be apprehensive with Christian McCaffrey, how great he was last year. But the thing is that they are who they are for a reason. And so, Watson, after Green Bay lost Romeo Doubs and Dontavian Wicks, there's a bunch of targets available. Half of the targets are inside the 10, which is something he could thrive at. And the Packers extended him, which is usually an obvious clue about where a player fits in their plans. So I think it's one of those things to where target him aggressively. I don't know if you're going to overpay. I don't know if he's the type of player you're going to go around early on. But basically call your shot. Hey, if this guy is available between this round and this round, then I'm going to target him, because the Packers are one of those situations. They're going to create a lot of points. They're going to throw the ball a lot. And it's a little bit of a shell game sometimes, but we had 2 of those guys removed out of the equation. So maybe it's a little easier this year.
Talking with Eddie Brown. Last question I got for you. Give me one player you left off this list who you think fantasy managers should be targeting, and one player who's getting too much hype right now.
I'm really, really high on Justin Jefferson. I think I'm
you like
the
you like the Kyler Murray upgrade in Minnesota, huh?
I do. First off, almost anybody, no disrespect to JJ McCarthy, but it'd be hard not to have an upgrade over the way he played last year for most stretches. I think Murray is the type of guy he's shown in his career. Hey man, I can hyper focus on a receiver and I can get him the ball. Well, who's better than doing that in the NFL than targeting Justin Jefferson? And I think he's being held at just a little bit of a discount right now. So I definitely think that's somebody that you want to focus on and try to target, because if you can get him back into the first round, if he even slips into the second round, you're talking about a guy who could finish top 2 or 3 player in fantasy. So that's somebody I would definitely target in the first round, especially if you're in the second half of the first round. This might be kind of counterintuitive a little bit, because I think everybody's obviously really excited about him and how good he is. I'm kind of scared off of Puka Nacua a little bit. I know the Rams are everybody stays healthy if they run it back and everybody does well. Obviously the offense is capable of big things, and obviously Puka is capable of being the best, if not a top 2 or 3 receiver in the NFL. All the off-field stuff, all the maturity issues, starting the season off in Australia, there's all these types of things that are kind of giving me bad vibes. So I'm not going to give any empirical data like saying, hey, Puka is he's slumping here, or his analytics are saying this. I'm just telling you, I got a little bit of a feeling.
We appreciate the time, Eddie. We look forward to talking to you again next week. I'm sure we'll have some more coverage, and I'm sure, unfortunately, we might have a couple of conversations about pivots based on maybe some injuries in the first couple of weeks of the preseason. But good to hear from you again. Continued success on the SDFC beat, and look forward to talking to you again very soon.
I appreciate it, Brendan. Take care.
Eddie Brown joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Where in the world is Bob Scanlan? Has he had food? Has he got enough sleep? Hopefully we don't wake him from his slumber. Bob Scanlan will join us next. We'll hear about all of his no good, rotten, awful, very bad day from yesterday and talk a little Padres baseball when we come back. Closing time for Bob Scanlan, joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Frank's going to do that every single time. Bob did not get to have a warm-up song when he played in the big leagues, but if he did, it would be Casey and the Sunshine Band. So that's our closer music for Bob Scanlan, who joins us now. Bob, it just seemed like you had kind of a rough day yesterday. Aside from the Padres winning, they had the stain on the coffee stain on the shirt. You had you got back into Cleveland super late, tired, hungry. I mean, not a great 24 hours in the grand scheme of things. It probably was all right, but I got to know what happened with the travel and how yesterday went, Bob, because Frank said it looked like it sounded like a guy that needed a hug yesterday.
I got my hug. I got my hug from a walk-off by the Padres, one of the funnest games of the season. So, yeah, it is all good. But, off the field, some challenges. But, the funniest one was actually, as you know, I was doing 2 jobs yesterday. So I was on the TV pregame and postgame show, but I was also in the radio booth doing the analyst work with Jesse. So I was kind of running all over the place trying to get all the pregame stuff ready with both entities, both sides. And in the midst of it, I was going from one meeting to another. I happened to be wearing a white shirt yesterday. And as I'm turning the corner, I bumped into our director, Zach Jensen, who had a full cup of coffee in his hand.
Oh,
so
no.
I got coffee all over my white polo. I was just drenched. So I quick took it off, tried to clean it. Couldn't get it clean, but thank God Bonnie, our stage manager, she went down and she found this brown polo for me that was a double extra large that I could fit. Granted, it was wrinkled, so I had some fun with the fans after the game about my wrinkled shirt. But anyway, that's the story behind my wrinkled shirt and how it got there. So always fun stuff going on behind the scenes. But hey, all said and done, like we were just talking about, the highlight of the day was definitely the Padres W. And boy, that was a fun one to sweep the Brewers, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and at a great time for the Pods, to put themselves now back into a playoff spot. And again, when you look at this, the way that this team has been playing, I think Kevin Acee alluded to it in his daily newsletter. I think a lot of us have seen it, and I think yesterday was kind of the epitome of using everybody on the roster that you can, and they're getting role players that are helping up in a big way. The stars are playing in a big way. The starting pitching has gotten a lot better and has solidified a little bit. The bullpen, I mean, Pat Murphy mentioned it in the postgame yesterday. He could not stop talking about how great the Padres bullpen is. This is a team, Bob, that seems like they're playing like we expected them to play at the beginning of the year. But you know what? If you're going to pick a time to really be hitting your stride, now's the best time as ever.
Amen. That's absolutely right. And that has been the topic all season long, hasn't it? In terms of when the pitching has been there, the hitting has not, and vice versa. And that was sort of the theme through the first half of the season. But fortunately, it all seems to be coming together at the right time. And granted, there's still a lot of baseball left in the season and work to be done, but it's great to see all these parts finally coming together. And as you so perfectly described right there, they're getting contributions from all different parts of this lineup or this roster, both off the bench guys getting the job done, being able to give Fernando a day off and still getting production taken care of. What we've seen with this pitching staff, and for a while there wasn't even really a rotation or a bullpen. It was just a staff and everybody stepping up to get the job done. Now, after the trade deadline, we do have a firm rotation back in place. I mean, those guys are throwing well. And, Pat Murphy talking about the bullpen, we know the bullpen is a strength, but I just want to give a little bit of love to a couple guys who sort of go under the radar a little bit, but shouldn't. And because we talk about Mason Miller and Adrian Morahone, and we talk about Jeremiah Estrada and just how dominant they are on the back end. But don't forget, lately, Yuki Matsui has been doing a really nice job coming out of the bullpen as well and posting zeros when the team needs it. Kyle Hart, I think, has done a fantastic job over his last 8 or 9 outings. He's had 3 as the spot starter or opener, if you will. He's closed games out. He's pitched in the 2nd inning, the 4th inning, the 6th inning, multiple innings, short stints. He's really done it all, everything that Craig Stammen has asked him to do in different parts of these ball games, and put up zeros every time. So, performances like that make a difference because they take the pressure off the other guys, the more, big spotlight type guys, because they're able to set the stage for them. They're able to keep the game within 1 run. They're able to keep it a 3-run lead so that it becomes a save opportunity. They take some of the pressure off the long guys so that you can spread it out. So in other words, everyone is contributing, and that clubhouse knows it and they feel it. And it's a great feeling when you walk into a clubhouse on a daily basis and you know every guy in here is going to have an opportunity to help us win a ball game today. And we're doing it. We're getting it done. And to come out of this homestand where you played 2 very difficult teams, and the Astros and the Brewers have the best record in baseball, and you walk away with that kind of a winning record and sweeping the Brewers on the way out, man, that's a great feeling, and really a tip of the cap to all these guys, because it has been a team effort.
I mean, you got to see, not that we don't see vintage Fernando a lot, but, like as he's gotten older, he's not like, sprinting out every single ball at first base like he used to when he was a kid, trying to show that he can play at the big league level and create a lot of, havoc on the base pass. He still does some very impressive things, but yesterday scoring from second on a ground ball to first base with 2 outs. And I mean, when you watch the play and watch it from the view of just watching Fernando, it's like it makes perfect sense how he was able to score, but just the general context of when Jake hit that ball in the 8th inning, I don't think a lot of Padres fans, Scan, that were watching on television thought that this game was about to be tied when he made contact with that ball.
I didn't, and we know Fernando. I mean, we know what to expect out of him with these types of things. That's the funnest thing about him, isn't it? We see things that take place on a field that we normally don't see, even with the superstar athletes that are on there on a nightly basis. And yet he still does things that just make you go, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that. That's amazing. Both in terms of his athleticism, but also the baseball acumen. And, him understanding, look, if I get a good jump right here, I'm going to go hard, because he's always thinking ahead. He's thinking, how can I do something exceptional? How can I put some pressure on the defense? How can I take advantage of just one slight little moment of hesitation that is the difference of him being safe at home plate or not making the play. And that's what's so fun about him. I went back and I looked at that play from the high home camera, because so often in the broadcast, of course, we're sort of focused on a play, right? Or this moment of the play. And it was fun to go back and look at the high home and see the whole thing develop, and how he's got the good secondary lead. He gets the good jump. He's going hard around third base, never hesitating, just long striding it all the way in. And yeah, that's Fernando being Fernando. That's one of the reasons that we love him and why we love to come out and see him on the field, because you never know when you're going to see something that you might not see again.
We're talking with Bob Scanlan, who joins us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better. Talking Padres baseball, and we've talked a lot of low points in the season, where trying to find ways to get them back on track. Obviously, today's conversation a little bit more peppier, but as we continue for the next 40 or something games left of the season, there's a lot of things that are lining up right for the Padres, but. As a player, Bob, being in this, being in a pennant race, and you finally climb the ladder and jump 6 teams, how do you go from being the hunter to now the hunted, albeit just one game? But, it seems like you've accomplished your goal, but you still got a lot more time to get to that spot. How do you stay focused when you play, obviously, 8 of your next 10 against teams with a losing record? Every team in baseball is good. I understand that. But, how do you not get a little complacent with this? And how, as a ball club, do you go, we got to go pedal to the metal and try to finish this thing?
Oh, I'd be really surprised if there was any complacency in this ball team right now. It's not as though they've been cruising all season long, and it's not as though they have anything locked in. I mean, it's been a dogfight the entire way, both because of what we talked about earlier in terms of the offense and the defense and the pitching really not, jiving and being in rhythm with each other for the whole first half. Now you're here in a situation where the offense has really kicked in. That's awesome. AJ went out and did his thing and brought in a starting rotation to stabilize that part of it, which also in turn stabilizes the bullpen. But by no means is this okay, now we've got this under control. These guys have been fighting all season long, and I think they understand that, okay, we have climbed out of a big deficit, and that's awesome, but we still got to keep playing hard, because the Diamondbacks are playing good baseball. The Phillies are playing good baseball. The Marlins and the Cardinals aren't that far behind, and there's still things to be accomplished, and they got to keep the pedal to the metal. I don't I don't think for a moment this team is going to get complacent. And, to your point, it's interesting when you look at the schedule, some teams right now that they should be able to take care of business with, right? We got the Cleveland Indians, or Guardians, I should say, that have been struggling. I think they've lost 14 of the last 18. The Mets are playing a little bit better. Minnesota had lost, I think it was 6 of their last 10. Pittsburgh's offense hasn't been hitting all that well coming up next. And if you look further down the schedule, Braden, it's really interesting because I think the Padres still have a better schedule also than the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, which, we can get into later if you want. But the point is, I don't think this is a team that's ever had a moment to be complacent. I don't expect them to start being complacent at this point. If anything, it's more a sense of, hey, these are the dog days of summer. This is the time where guys start to physically conk out, mentally give up, or fatigue, and we've seen none of that. This last series showed a team that's hitting on all cylinders, and I think finally sensing that and taking that momentum and feeling like, oh, finally, here we go, guys. Let's go. Let's run with this thing. I think this is a great chance for them to really excel in a continued positive direction, as opposed to feeling like, we can kick back at this point. I'd be shocked if that happens.
There was a question on the roundtable that I thought was interesting, Bob, and I want to hear your perspective on it. As a pitcher, and before I ask this question, I do understand like you can never have enough pitching, but the way that this team has played and kind of going into the trade deadline, I think a lot of people thought, you're not going to be able to do a lot of damage in the postseason if you don't get one of Joe Musgrove or Nick Pivetta back. And yet here they are doing a lot of damage. And Joe Musgrove, who is returning hopefully sooner rather than later, he's announced to have his third rehab assignment on Friday, is not with the team yet. How much do the Padres have to rely on Joe Musgrove, either the final stretch of the year or in October, if they want to do damage in October?
We don't know, right? Because you know how things can change so quickly. All of a sudden you feel like you've got this plethora of pitching and rotation options. And the next thing you know, you have somebody throw a pitch and feel something in their elbow. And all of a sudden everybody's really important. So he's going to be a factor. I mean, hopefully he comes back and he's healthy and feeling good and being a contributor. And that's going to be huge. Just gives this team more depth, which is never a bad thing. Are you less reliant on that now because of bringing in Casey Mize and Robbie Ray? Yeah, hopefully. But it would still certainly be nice to have that luxury, if for no reason that what's wrong with going with a 5 or a 6-man rotation to take some of the pressure off these guys down the stretch so they all get a little bit more breathing time, or possibly one of the starters going to the bullpen if they need to give a little bit more length down there. So it can be nothing but a good thing. But because of AJ's moves, you're not as reliant and dependent on it as you were just a couple of weeks ago, and that's a good thing.
Bob, great time as always talking with you. Hopefully you got some sleep. Hopefully you're ready to take on the weekend coming up, and hopefully you figured out the DoorDash and all the I have been through that difficulty many a times on the road. I have been in that spot. I felt your pain this morning when I read some of the tweets when I woke up after hopefully you were snoozing.
Yeah, no, thanks. Appreciate it. Got a good night's rest. Going to get some food here in Cleveland, get a little workout in, and start doing some studying for this fun series we got coming up against the Guardians. So let's keep this momentum going.
Yeah, keep it going, and hopefully we'll have a even more fun conversation next week when the Padres have won 10 straight, potentially.
Love it. Let's do it.
All right, Bob, enjoy the weekend in Cleveland. Have a great call, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week. Bob Scanlan joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Always great talking to Bob. You know what? You could be having a terrible day, and then you talk to Bob Scanlan, and your day just gets so much better.
100%.
It just puts a smile on your face.
Yep.
Is there anything better than talking ball with Bob? I don't think there's anything better than talking ball with Bob. It's just good, great baseball guy.
Talking ball with Bob Scanlan while eating a good slice of pizza.
Is that heaven? No, it's Iowa. Field of Dreams game. I wanted to ask him. Maybe I'll ask him next week.
Is this heaven? No, it's the Netflix login screen.
Oh, God. Foul to end the show. I wanted to ask him next week, if you could play in any stadium in a movie for baseball, which stadium would have been? Because the Field of Dreams, they brought it to life. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant signing off. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Padres on a 5-game winning streak. Trying to keep that going against Cleveland. Quinn and Chris coming up next.